BruCast is back, baby.
This BruCast episode is brought to you by the BruCast Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BruCast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now bru-cast.com/store. Link below. Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to another BruCast episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. BruCast also on Instagram, X and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, BruCast on Instagram, X and TikTok. Links on the description below. Our guest today is Ava Barbieri. Ava Barbieri is a graduated game designer who today works as a game producer. Currently living in Brazil, he worked on different areas of the gaming industry, such as marketing for mobile gaming, QA, which means quality assurance, and also assisting ABRA Games, the Brazilian Association of Game Development, to organize their gaming fair big festival, now called Gamescom Latam. All right, how are you doing, Ivan?
I'm great. Having a really good time already.
That's amazing, man. I'm so happy to have you here. For those who remember Ivan, he's not a new guest. He's been around before. He's a recurring guest here at BruCast, so it's really a pleasure.
I mean, it is a pleasure to be here. There's no other way of putting it. Like, I'm really happy. You will remember that I actually reached out to you, being like, when are we gonna be there again? Like when we're gonna chat again? Because it's fun.
It is fun. It is fun for sure. And I found that's a great excuse to just connect with friends. Because, you know, nowadays as an adult, you say, yeah, let's talk, let's hang out. People never do that. But if you have a podcast, it's like people show up, you know, and it's a great excuse just to catch up. So.
I mean, you never come to Brazil anymore. There's also that.
A fucking plane just crashed there. Did you see that?
How many planes crash regularly? Like, how many? How often does that happen? That's not an excuse, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Not an and also, it was a, if I'm not mistaken, it was a jet, and it wasn't like a passenger plane, was it?
I don't know.
I just saw it yesterday, so I'm not up to date on that info either. I just saw it fall. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it seems serious. I saw like several shorts on TikTok. The plane just falling from the sky. Like it looked like suddenly the turbines just stopped working and just start free falling.
No, that's what happens when it stalls. Actually, if I'm not mistaken. When an airplane just goes up to a certain point, there's not enough air anymore. So there's no more way to push. And what happens is that the plane stalls. It just can't keep moving. And that creates this spiral which it falls down in a vertical position.
Okay.
Because it can recover. The only way of recovering would be to try and go down to gain speed and recover. But I don't know why they didn't do that. I have no idea what happened.
Well, I don't know either. I mean, they need to find the black box, right? There's always the black box. I think that's where we're gonna get all the answers. But it's really, it was a really strange video, a really strange accident. Because whenever you see like an airplane accident, they're always colliding at something, or they start losing at altitude slowly, right? But this one, no, it just start free falling. So that's what happens. That's what happens when.
Right?
Sorry, communication.
Yeah, because there's also communication with the tower. Because the tower will also be reached out. They will know that something's wrong. But we've heard nothing about that so far.
That's true.
I know that because one of the things I've been talking with my friends, because I have no idea why my brain just decides to focus on something random, is a weird issue, a weird incident that happened with a Korean airplane, which it fell down because they didn't properly disclose that they were having an issue due to a cultural communication issue. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it was Korean where they just downplay things. So it's like, hey, something wrong? It could be better.
Really?
So it's like, it's not that bad. And what happens that they were falling. It's I think it's Wendover Productions, the channel that talk about that. they talk a lot about airplanes. That guy really likes them, and that actually created a few patterns of communication that every airplane pilot and tower has to use to communicate situations because they realize what may be to someone, oh, it's nothing, to someone else is it's pretty bad here.
So which cultures? It was a Korean plane. They start downplaying the accent, so that's a Korean thing.
Yeah, and it's also very interesting because you can see the communication. They found the black box later. The black box is for communication inside the airplane,
Yeah.
like between pilot and stuff like that. And the co-pilot realized something was wrong, but also due to these hierarchical culture they have, the co-pilot couldn't do anything. He saw something was up, and the pilot was like, it's nothing," and it's like, and then the situation just got really, really bad. It just got worse until it couldn't be recovered.
Gosh, yeah, I don't know there's something about airplane crashes that are so. I don't want to say popular because I don't think that's the right word. I don't think they're popular because it's something very sad. But it's not the same when there's like car crashes. There's so many car crashes every day. No one talks about it. But when there's like a airplane crash on the other side of the world, Brazil, like everyone's talking about it. Oh, I think I know why. I was watching this documentary the other day about exactly about that, about airplane crashes. And apparently, whenever there's a crash, the whole airplane association, whatever they're called, they try to figure out what happened to improve the security measures, to improve all the standards, to make sure that whatever this accident was never happens again. And the conclusion of this documentary that I watched was that nowadays, like 90% of the accidents are like human errors, are basically the actual pilots who made something wrong, you know?
Except it's Boeing, but that's another topic.
Yeah.
The 10% is all just Boeing.
Didn't they kill like a whistleblower at the beginning of the year?
Allegedly, you don't want to be sued by the or
Allegedly.
yeah, but it's all very coincidental. They had two whistleblowers actually that died. One of them was supposedly with a gunshot, to a self-inflicted gunshot, which is like suspicious because he also left a letter to his wife and saying, "If I die, it won't be an accident." So and it was right before his deposition, right before he was going to court to say everything. So yeah, that one was very fishy. And then another guy, apparently that one was health issue. He was also a whistleblower. He was also coming forward, and he had a heart attack, apparently. So that one, people are like, okay, this is too coincidental. It could be just a health situation, really, but come on, Boeing. That's also very suspicious. But that didn't help Boeing either. They had a ton of other whistleblowers come forward.
Ton of others. 1 second, Ivan, I'm looking the thing here. How many whistleblowers in Boeing have died? A third Boeing whistleblower lives in terror. This video features commentary from Con and Colapinto's founding partner David Colapinto. A second Boeing whistleblower has died, and a third told Congress he feared for his life. Boeing whistleblower John Barnett, I think that was the first one who feared for his life, died by quote-unquote suicide, accordingly to the police report released on Friday, bringing to end an investigation of shocking death of a long-time employee who raised concerns about the airplane manufacturer's safety and production standards, and who sued the company claiming Boeing illegally ... Okay.
Yeah, but it's actually, the whole Boeing situation is so interesting and bizarre because it has a lot to do with other topics you brought up here that we could discuss. That one is basically, to summarize, Boeing was founded by engineers.
Okay.
That's why Boeing, for a long time, was actually lead in the industry. They had the best airplanes, and they knew how to do good airplanes and how to maintain them and do them like there's a reason because they were found by engineers. But after a while, the engineers left, and the new CEO and new leadership are actually not engineers. They have no relation to the production of an airplane. So they are basically what a traditional, I'm gonna say, CEO does. A traditional CEO has one focus: maximize profits. So what that leads is, let's cut corners. Let's make it cheaper. Why are we spending money on this? We can't. Let's cut corners here as well. And so what that led us to a quick degradation of quality of their processes, a quick degradation of quality of their airplanes, so much so that roughly, I think it was 6 or 7 engineers working currently on the airplane say they wouldn't fly them. It's like, can you imagine to be working on an airplane, be like, I wouldn't fly on this. It's a death trap.
That's insane. Yeah, you see? No wonder. Now coming back to what happened in Brazil, no wonder like planes are falling from the sky. I don't know, maybe it was a Boeing airplane, who knows? But man, if the actual pilots are saying they would not fly the airplanes.
Engineers. I would say it's a bit worse than pilots.
Oh my fucking God. You know? You ask me when I'm coming to Brazil. I don't know.
Come by boat.
Maybe. Let's see. Oh, you know Ryanair? Eva, are you there, man? Oh, I think we lost him. Oh, the cat. Sorry, everyone. I think the cat knocked his microphone out. We cannot hear you, man. So that's what happens when we record live. Oh, no. You're not, we cannot hear you. That's what happens when we record live. We lose connection from time to time. No, you're gone, man. I don't know what happened. Okay, you know what? Let's go to a short, quick break and come back whenever we fix the issue. So we are back. Sorry, everyone. That's what happens when we record live.
Had a few microphone issues. I'm gonna blame the cat, even though she did nothing wrong.
Poor
Come here,
cat.
you little criminal.
What's her
She
name?
does a lot of things wrong, but this wasn't one of them.
She's cute. What's her name, Eva?
Motoka.
Motoka.
For our international viewers, that's little bike in a way.
Little bike. Motoka. Tinha Dança da Motinha. There was this Brazilian song, I think, from the early 2000s. Dança da Motinha.
I have no recollection of that.
No.
I don't know where you went. I don't know what songs you listened to. That wasn't part of my reality.
All right. So I think before we lost your audio, we had.
You ask about Ryanair. I'm familiar with them. Yeah.
I was talking about Ryan. Yeah, yeah. Have you seen? I don't know the name of their fucking CEO, Ryan. Let's call him Ryan. He said, "Oh, now we're gonna charge our customers. This is an amazing innovation. We're gonna charge our customers to use the bathroom during the flight." And everyone's like, "Oh!" It was during a live show, and everyone was like, "Whoa, no, what? That's ridiculous." He was like, "No, guys, listen up. That's an amazing innovation. You're going to revolutionize the flight industry because now we're going to be able to afford even cheaper prices. We're going to maybe even go down to €1 prices. And we're gonna, I don't know, man. Ivan, the guy is crazy. And then he said we're going to now start selling €1 tickets, flights, where you actually stand up. You don't sit at any moment during the flight. And he was like, that's revolutionary. I'm a genius. Everyone, like, dude, you're just dehumanizing everyone that you take on board. That's all.
It's not even that. I'm gonna say it's that, but it's also like, have you ever heard of turbulence? Like when the plane just shakes violently. Have you ever imagined being standing up in that situation? It's very, very unpleasant, I can say. I would compare that. Have you tried to shake eggs inside a box? That's what happens with people.
He doesn't he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
No, it's a very. I don't know how to describe it. I think I was discussing this with my wife that the more people have money, it seems, or I don't know if the position attracts people like that, the less they care about people. Like the less people are people. At the end of the day, they are just money. And it's a very horrible way of treating people because it, like you said, it dehumanizes them. That's one. And the other one is that you do whatever, consequence be damned. Doesn't matter. And also, I can understand also that logic because if something were to happen that's bad, let's say someone needs to use the bathroom, he doesn't want to pay, and he gets sick, and accidents happen because of that, because you know someone will do that, they will likely be sued or they will have to pay fine. That's the price of doing business.
Yeah.
If it's more profitable to do that, that's just the price of doing business. Whatever. Life goes on.
Look, 9 jobs sociopaths are most likely to have. Number 1, surgeon. Number 2, lawyer. Number 3, politician. Number 4, salesperson. Number 5, CEO. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's more. Professor. 6 professor. Okay, this explains a lot about.
Yeah, that actually does.
7 banker. 8
Clergy person.
What is this? I don't even know what this profession
It's
is.
someone who works with the clergy, like priests, stuff like that. So
Really?
weird. Police officer also makes sense.
9 police officer. There you go. But yeah, number 5 CEO.
You have a suspicious ad over there.
Yeah, let's close this shit.
Oh, it's Kourtney Kardashian.
Okay. So Ivan, I wanted to talk to you about something.
Yeah.
Are you aware that our previous episode is among the top 5 most watched BruCast episodes to this day? And that's not nothing because BruCast is what, 1 year, 2 years old? We have over 42 episodes. And our previous conversations among the top 5, not top 10, top 5. The public loves you, Ivan. What do you have to say about that? Uh-oh. I think we lost you again, man. We cannot hear you.
There you go.
Oh.
For some reason, the microphone decided to connect again and be back alive, but so I brought back the webcam. It's all good.
Okay, but now the quality is worse, way worse.
Ah, come on.
Okay, we're gonna go to a short break and come back. And we are back. So we know what's happening right now. It's the cat. It's all the cat's fault.
This time it was the cat. The last time I blame her, it wasn't. This time it was.
All right.
But yeah, as I was saying, I think you guys have a bit testing people to be the top five. But I joke. I do appreciate that, guys. Like, it's really good to hear that. It's good that my ramblings are entertaining.
Yes, they are. The public loves you.
And especially because I think I go into a lot of tangents. I don't know if I explain them well. I hope I do. Like, that's something that I always worry. Honestly, when we discussed what we were, you briefly told me topics we could discuss. I was like, I have to recheck these topics. So I spent a few days of this last week just reviewing information.
Really?
So I wouldn't say something wrong because I worry a lot about that.
Really?
Yeah, it's something that, I don't know, it just permeates my mind. Like, we can accidentally give the wrong information, and that information continues as a lie. It's not intentional, but it happens. And I think that leads people to have a bad idea of things, especially when someone may be an authority on a topic. Like, I won't say I'm an authority, like people should respect my opinion, whatever. But since I have a lot of understanding of the game industry, a lot of experience in it, technically people will look at me more than someone who doesn't work on it. Like, right, they will look at my opinion and be like, he knows more. So supposedly I should say things right. I shouldn't make mistakes. I will make, but I should be careful what I say. Is what I'm trying to say.
All right. I respect you. I respect you because I'm not a good podcast host. Anyway, I say what I think and then I double check later. But I should research more. But anyway, Ivan,
It's
what
also
did you?
good to do hard questions, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
what did you spend so much time researching this weekend? What did you discover?
So it's not so much discover. Like I said, there were topics that I already knew, and I wanted to bring clear information regarding them. Because, as you know, and it's something that it's very hot right now, and these topics are actually very interconnected. It's the layoffs and the project Stop Killing Games. These two things, I reviewed a lot of information because I had seen them. I knew about topics related to them. But there's even more hot information that came this last week that got me really uncomfortable about the industry as a whole. But we'll talk about that here because
We're talking about the gaming industry, just to make it clear.
Yes, it's the games industry. So I think it's good to start this discussion. It's something we briefly mentioned before we started, but just so people who are not on the loop know, the games industry is going through a very rocky phase for the developers. If you are a gamer, just someone who plays games, you're fine. You shouldn't worry about anything in a way. But if you're a developer, your job security is very bad right now. Very, very, very bad. Since last year, like from 2023, there were 10,000 layoffs, like 10,000 people without a job. That's insane for any industry. Just so you guys have an idea of the impact. To make a AAA game, like let's say God of War, like the latest one, stuff like that, it takes roughly 400 people to do one. That's a lot of people. Okay? Now imagine 10,000 people being laid off. Right? That's 10,000 divided by 400. Roughly 25 AAA games killed.
Whoa. All across the board, throughout all the companies, all the game industries in the world.
Yes. And this year, it continues. That's the harsh part. It's still going. There were a lot of layoffs this year already. I think it was 2,000, 3,000. And last week, there was one very cold and brutal one from Bungie. And that one really all of them were the same, okay, in a sense, as in CEOs and businessmen being very cold about it and saying, "Oh, we worry about too much. We did everything we could. We just couldn't keep them. Bye. It was a very hard decision to do." They say that as they clean their crocodile tears with money, with bills. But yeah, and this is very egregious, I say, because Bungie, I never know how to pronounce their name.
I heard as Bungie, but I also don't know.
Bungie.
I don't know. No.
Yeah, so Bungie, they actually fired a lot of people. I think it was 400 people laid off this last week. And this was shortly after the CEO received a massive bonus of like billions of dollars and wasted in roughly a week over 20 million just buying sports cars. Like just buying them for hobby. And it's like, oh, we exhausted our opinions. It was a very hard decision to choose, you guys. Let's go.
What's his
And it's
name?
like, dude, I don't know his name. You can, if you search for Bungie layoffs or Bungie CEO layoffs, you will see info on that. Like it's very it's awful.
Pete
One of the
Pete Parsons.
Parsons.
There you
Yeah.
go. He's balling out of control. Pete Parsons. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Because he, for those who don't know, Bungie got bought by Sony, and he used the money used for that to buy cars. There was even there on the search.
The Bungie CEO just got exposed. This will shock you. And the thumbnail is just a bunch of
Yeah, I feel that.
cars. All right.
Because he spent millions on cars. Like, and it's not cars to drive. It's just collections. Like, I'm gonna say this: if you have the money, do that. Like, if you can't do that, if everything's fine, do that. You probably deserve it if your company, is doing well and that stuff. But if it's at the cost of firing people and then you go and just say, we did everything we could, bye. No, man. You're an asshole. There's no other way of saying it. One of the people laid off posted on Twitter. I don't know who she was. You can probably find that as well. That
Uh-oh, your mic's gone again. Just do the thing, Ivan. I'm sorry, everyone. We're gonna bring Ivan right back. He's back.
hello.
Hi.
There you go. Oh, damn. Anyway, if you search for, there was this one person who posted, I think it was on Twitter or X. You guys choose. That this dude, the Pete Parson just came up to her 1 week before she got fired and invited them to see his new car collection. Like, it's very tone deaf. It's this person's like, like we said, it's totally dehumanized. To think people are not people. It's sick.
All right. Okay, but I mean, everyone needs a hobby, Ivan. He needs a hobby.
Everyone needs a hobby, but if your hobby's at the cost of people, I would say you don't need a hobby. You need another one. I don't know.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Like, collect Warhammer figurines is cheaper.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. As a CEO, you're the owner of the company, right?
Yes.
If it's at the end of the day, it's your decision to do whatever you want with the company. If you want to lay off people, you lay off people. If you want to use the money that the money you get from the company, it's personal, it's yours. You can spend whatever you want. So at the end of the day, I understand what you're saying, but it's none of our business how he spends his money. I'm just playing. You know what I mean?
I will disagree on that because it's one thing to say that. Like, I would totally agree. Like I told you, if everything's fine, it's his hobby. He does whatever. Okay. But don't come later and say it was very hard decision to let you guys go. We exhausted all our options.
But that's the corporate world. You're
But
trying
that's
to
the thing, it's
humanize the
horrible.
corporate world. There's no like
It
amicality.
doesn't make things better. Like it doesn't. It rather makes you sound fake as fuck, which it is. And it's also like I said, one of the employees. Imagine you got fired, and then last week the guy just say, "Hey, want to see my sports car collection I just bought?" It's like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. Like, and especially because he could actually use that money to keep their job security until they actually publish another game. And we have examples of companies doing that. The iconic Nintendo with Shigeru Miyamoto, he actually did it. And it was good because it was when the Wii U actually flopped. And it was great because that led to the creation of the Switch, which is great. And it's selling like hotcakes. because he didn't let go of people. There's a consequence to letting go of people as well. One thing that people don't consider about layoffs is you're not just letting go of the chaff, like letting go of people who are not competent. You are letting go of people who have years of experience in the industry, who knows what they're doing, who know the layout of the company, how things work, and then you will have to replace that somehow. Your company will be in a worse state when these layoffs happen. So now you will have to deal with that. And it's not him who will have to pick up the pieces, it will be the other employees. It affects everyone in a very negative manner. And it's also the money he got was from the sale of of Bungie. It wasn't like he did anything great. He sold the company. Good for you. It's not like a great deal, I would say. And it's also very infuriating because it makes me wonder. We often hear about replacing artists with AI, given the recent tools being created and all that stuff. It's one of the topics we discussed last year. But I would say CEOs and all these businessmen are far more replaceable. If they're going to do such cold calculations, just let a computer do it at this point.
I'm sure they're already thinking about it. I'm sure.
The business class? Nah, man. They will do everything to keep themselves safe. It's very annoying how they protect. There's even that term like failing upwards. Because they will make mistakes. It doesn't matter. They have hotbacks. They will get to another company and continue to earn a fortune.
But you mentioned Nintendo for a second. I think Nintendo, it's a very, very special company. Didn't they announce recently that they have no plans on using AI tools in any of the development of any of their games because they have decades, if not but they have more. They're more than 100 years old. If I'm saying they have so many years of experience. They just announced that AI it's irrelevant. They don't need it because they have so much expertise and experience. And not only that, they have always been focused on the player's experience first, and then everything else secondly.
Yeah.
So I think Nintendo is a very out of the curve, exceptional company when it comes to that.
But that's the thing. I believe these companies should act more like Nintendo in a sense. I don't like a lot of things Nintendo does. I think they are far too traditionalist to a point that it takes years for them to adjust and do things that it's the standard.
Like what?
Like the interaction with the influencers in general. To them, I don't know if you remember, at first they were completely against people using their trademark to do anything. Like, if you're a small YouTuber, you're making a review of Mario Kart, no. Copyright claim, get out of here, you know? It was a very aggressive stance towards it. Which is weird, because when you think about it, it's a free marketing for them. People won't say their games are bad. Nintendo, it's very hard for you to go and say their games are bad. It's gonna be free marketing. Simple as that. And yet they do all this very bad, very aggressive positioning towards the users. Also mods or fan-created games. I won't forget Pokemon Uranium, which was actually a very good, very well-made, fan-made game. It didn't intend to sell anything. They didn't intend to profit with the game. Nintendo just told them, no, you can't do it. Because there's another thing. That's another thing that people feel bothered about that, because a lot of people rely on fair use. I don't know if you know about fair use.
No, I don't.
Fair use, it's hard to explain because it's a bit of a law thing where you can use people's content to create your own, so long as you change and create your own content based on that. A review would be that, because you are reviewing a product. You need a product to make the review, you know? So you would be creating something new based on that. Nintendo doesn't agree with that because they don't have that in Japan. There's no fair use. You can't use Japanese content, stuff like that, to create new things. That is why when people were like, oh, they're going to sue Power and stuff like that, I was like, no, they're not. It's been years since Power Word has been announced and been working on this, and Nintendo didn't do anything about it. It's not now that they're going to do something about it. Unless they straight up rip off something from Nintendo, they won't. because they are very, very, very protective of everything they do.
Okay. So it's fair to say that no company is perfect. They have their good points, their negative points. They're a little bit picky when it comes
Of
to.
course.
So, when you come going back to the original topic, layoffs. Did Nintendo laid off anyone? I mean, they probably laid off someone, but like they had mass layoffs this past year, like all the other game industry.
As far as I know, they didn't.
They
We
didn't.
can
Okay.
check right now. I would prefer that instead of just relaying something like that,
Okay.
because I don't want to fanboy over Nintendo. Actually, I'm very critical of them a lot of the times.
Mass. Let's look it up. Mass layoffs. All right. So for as much as we like to joke about Nintendo, that's a Reddit post, guys. Let's share the
Yeah.
screen again. Okay. So for as much as I'd like to joke about Nintendo, I've got to admit it's quite an admirable that they haven't given into the layoffs like their competition has. We are 2 months into 2024. Here's a list of a lot of some layoffs that have happened gaming wise. So Microsoft, almost 2,000 people were laid off at Microsoft at the early of the year. Sony 900, Unit Software almost 2,000 again. Twitch 500, Riot Games 530, Discord 170, Playtika around 3 to 400. And the list goes on. And apparently, accordingly to this Reddit post, Nintendo didn't join this mass layoff thing.
Yeah, but there was a. I'm checking here now.
Yeah.
Nintendo confirms testing layoffs amid first-party Lu and reports of Switch 2 delay. Yep.
All right. Well, I don't know what Lu means. Claims of testing Lu.
Lu means like it's lukewarm. It's not getting there.
Okay, so they're also laying some people off.
Yeah, but it seems it will be contractors, which doesn't make things much better. But yeah.
Yeah, at least it's not in-house developers, which is good.
But it's the thing that always bothered me a lot. People treat outsourcing as not employees, which to me is crazy. Most of the games you guys play have probably been made by some level of outsourcing companies. And it's very common for outsourcing companies to be just straight up ignored. Like they don't exist. And it's horrible because that allows a lot of them to be exploited.
You cannot say that. They are always on the credits. Their names are
Not always.
Not always. What?
Bruno, I'm gonna tell you something. How many years did I work as a producer in an outsourcing company?
You many years.
Yeah, 3 years.
3
How
years.
many games have my names in the credits?
0.
Exactly 1.
What? What the fuck?
It's very common. Very, very common.
Dude, that's fucked up. I don't know how to put
It
it.
is.
You worked on the project.
Yep. And it's very, very common. Like, this is no business secret. It just isn't. Your name likely won't be on a lot of projects because contracts say that, oh, you can't list your company there. I don't know why yet, okay? It's something I always wanted to learn and always wanted to understand because it never made sense to me. Why not let people put their names there? Why not admit you use an outsourcing company? Like, it's not a crime.
And
People won't judge you worse for that. I
and
never heard one person judge someone worse for that.
of course not. And I bet you, like the people who play the games, they most of the time they don't care how many people are in the credits. You know, what
Exactly.
name is there or is missing. Like they just want to have a good experience. What costs you to put the outsource company's name in the credits? Nothing. It's just an ego thing, from what it sounds like.
I don't think it's ego. Like I'm sure there must be some kind of business logic behind it.
Okay.
In my opinion, this is to make it clear. No one told me that. This is just how I feel. It's something that gives companies an advantage. If people don't put their names on the credits or can't list that, they can't put it on their portfolio. So basically, they're working and they can't say they worked on something. This makes it hard for them to relocate and find different jobs or possibly go up. So it's advantageous for companies to not list people on credits. I would say it's the only thing I believe that happens, but it's only my belief. There's no confirmation, nothing for, nothing against. It's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you have time later, I would recommend you check a channel called People Make Games. It's very good because their channel actually defends a lot of that. The name of the channel comes from that because they don't believe it's one person makes games. Like it's not Peter Molyneux, it's not Shigeru Miyamoto, it's people. And it's true. To make a game, you have a lot of people making games. And they
So
have actually a video about outsourcing companies who had to go through crunch while the original companies didn't.
people make games, outsource. Let's see if I can find it.
They don't have a ton of videos. If you check their video, you will find it there.
Okay, is this channel People Make Games?
It's that channel.
Okay.
You check the videos. Should be
Popular.
there far down. And they do a lot of really cool investigations as well. It's a very interesting channel. I would highly recommend. Like the Neopets one is crazy, for instance.
Neopets. Oh man, this bring me back in the day, back in the days. All right, so that's crazy. I know that some companies, for example, Ubisoft, they go overboard. They go extremely in the other direction. If I'm not mistaken, the Skull and Bones credits was 45, 50 minutes long, because they actually put everyone's names in the credits. I think they even put like babies, like the kids that got born during the production, the name of the pets. I might be going a little bit overboard, but I think it's not that. Like I think they even put like the cleaning lady name in the credit. You know.
I'm not opposed to that, honestly.
Yeah, but
To putting people who actually work, babies, not so much, pets, not so much.
Yeah.
But if you put everyone that work in a production, I think it's fair. Even people in the cleaning department, it's fair. They help.
I'm joking about the cleaning department, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's how much people they put in the credits. That's what I meant.
It would be great, honestly, if more people did that. I think that's something I started thinking. It should be illegal to not credit someone. I think it should be illegal in a way or another. The more things I've been going, the more I've been thinking about using the law to push stuff like that, because it's just so infuriating, you know.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's 3 years. I work in a lot of projects, a lot of them, and to be on only one of them, it hurts. Thankfully, it's a great game. Like I'm not being ungrateful for that, and I know it was not my company who decided that. It's not like they said we won't put you guys in the credits. That's something they always fought for. I know that, but it's very hard for companies to allow that. I don't know why.
Did you try to talk with anyone at those companies to have your name into the credits? To have your name put into the credits?
It wouldn't be right due to NDAs, right? So it wouldn't be. I don't know how to do that negotiation, but I would have to do against my company in a way, like in spite of my company, in spite of any document they sign, and I think that could lead to a lot of issues. And I don't want to be sued for breaking NDAs. It's a lot of money I don't have.
So which companies didn't want to put your name in the credits?
I won't break NDAs.
Okay, that's fair.
But I will tell you that, just so you have an idea, there's a game I worked for 3 years, like almost since the day I joined the company. And my name's not there in the credits, even though it's been 3 years worth of production. No one of our team who work on it has our name in the credits.
That's insane. That's insane. And the thing about the game industry is that many of those projects, they are passion projects. People who work in the game industry, they really love what they do. I'm a proof of that, right? I grew up playing games. I'm passionate about games. I decided to join the game industry, because I knew that I would put my heart into it, and not having you being recognized for it, I can't imagine how infuriating it can be. not being recognized for it and not being appreciated for it, and in some cases even being exploited for it. So yeah.
I would I'm very thankful that my company didn't do that. Like they didn't. They were vehemently against doing extra hours. If you had to do, happens. But they weren't like it's a policy. Rather, we are gonna work against it as much as we can, which is good. It's the right way, I think, to handle things. Uh, but yeah, it's very common and it happens a lot. One case that was iconic. Again, people make games brought that up. They don't disclose the companies. They don't disclose the people for the same reason here that I won't disclose anything. But during Cyberpunk production, they say there would be no crunch. Later, they found out there was crunch. But at the time, when they were saying there weren't going to be any, the companies from Asia, people from companies from Asia who worked on Cyberpunk said, "Yeah, but we had," and they're not listing the credits exactly because of that. There's this distancing. Like it's not Cyberpunk, it's not a CD Projekt Red doing crunch, so it's fine when it's that's not true. Like it's another company that's working on their project,
Damn.
which
But
they are also responsible, I would argue.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. This crunch thing is crazy. Isn't Rockstar, as far as I know, during the development of the latest Rockstar game, Red Red Redemption 2, many of the employees were sleeping under the table, and
Yep.
that was okay, which is crazy. In what world is okay to have employees sleeping under the fucking table, not seeing their families? Like that, I think it ties back to what we were talking earlier. It's just dehumanizing. You're not treating your employees as human beings, as valuable people, but as just money making machines that are only there to be exploited by you. And if they happens to be passionate about doing your project, they only hear they're passionate about being exploited, so let's exploit them even more. So that's the perception that I get when I hear all those stories of mass layoffs, of pushing people to the limits, having them
Yep.
working beyond the allowed amount of hours. Is there a maximum amount of hours that you're allowed to work per month? I think there's
It
such law.
depends.
It depends. Okay.
It depends on place. I know the UK, for instance, has limits on that. If I'm not mistaken, it's 40 hours. I think it's up to 48 hours weekly, and the weekends is like 4 hours per day. Like there's something like that that they just impose limits depending on how people work. On Brazil, here, right? I know there are limits. I know, for instance, that they enforce an at least an hour break after 6 or 5 hours of work. Like you can't do a work journey that is longer than 5 or 6 hours. You have to take a 1 hour break at least. That is something that it's. I heard colleagues complaining about that, and I understand why. Right? Because it's like a lot of them were like, I don't want to take a 1 hour break now. I want to leave 1 hour earlier. And it's like, no, you can't. The law forbids it. So there's that downside, but it's good, I believe, forcing these breaks. Also, in Brazil, uh, the more you work, after I think it's a 12-hour journey or something like that, they start to pay extra. It's your salary plus 1.5 extra. So it's it's good. Like it's interesting because it de-incentivizes working extra hours. The companies have to consider not making people work a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want to go into the work hour, it's something that I've also been looking at more recently. How do you feel working more than a medieval peasant?
What? What are you talking about?
Medieval peasants and stuff like that, they work less than us.
But
They work less hours than us.
what? That sounds weird.
It's because they didn't have to work as much as we do. Like they didn't have a journey like we did. It was standard for them to go if they work on the field. Go on the field, work there, in the morning a little bit, take a break to eat breakfast, go there and work a little bit more, take another break to eat lunch, and then work a little bit more depending on how much work there is to do before ending your day, because they had to use the sunlight as much as possible,
Go
but
on.
not back-breaking work, not the same way.
But even like I don't think that's a fair comparison because medieval peasants didn't have the luxuries of modern life that we have nowadays. We have so much more quality of life and entertainment and like basically
Yes,
everything.
yes, but the situation is also different in the sense that today we produce way more than they did that back then, with much less, and yet we work more. So we do more with less effort, with less time, and yet we still need to work. We still need to do more stuff. So that's the thing as well, There's a point in which we have to say how much is enough. Up to until recently, and I say recently as in up to our parents and grandparents' time, well, actually a little bit more, sorry. Saturdays were considered a normal workday
Really? Where in Brazil?
in the world.
In the world? Okay.
Yet, of course, there will be exceptions, but the one who introduced Saturday as a break day was Henry Ford.
Really, of
And
all people, Henry
yeah,
Ford.
he also reduced work hours. And do you know why he did that? Also increase pay. Do you know why he did that?
Did it increase productivity?
Yes, it increased productivity. It also ensured that he would attract talent because people would want to work on his company instead of others because it was better for their quality of life. And also, one argument he did is, I want my employees to be able to buy our products.
I heard that before. So he wanted their own employees to be able to afford and buy the car.
Yep.
Okay.
And it makes sense in a way. Imagine you're working on something, you're creating something, and you can't buy it. Like you're always there looking at it, creating it, and you can't use it.
Imagine if Apple thought like that. Imagine if Apple was expecting that every Chinese worker were able to afford an iPhone. The iPhone would cost like $10,000 if they tried to do that.
That's the thing. Not really. What Henry Ford did and was smart is that he just reduced his average pay, which is the important point for a lot of stuff. And it's also one that touches back on the CEO stuff. CEOs are very overpaid. But since they're on the top of the chain, who's going to change that?
Wasn't that a certain CEO that said that the max amount of wage or salary that CEO is allowed to earn cannot be more than 10 times more than the highest grossing employee below him? Something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Someone came up with certain
heard.
rule. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard, and I think that one makes kind of sense, honestly, and it's good because if your company has someone who earns millions while you're down there earning at most, let's say, thousands, it's like your money's going up to him, a lot of it. And what production is he doing compared to people on the line? I'm not saying CEOs don't have a function. Like I said, they could be replaced by AI. Anyway, their function is to maximize profits within reason, I would say. So they have a job there. It needs to have someone who will look at these things and analyze and be like, okay, maybe we're spending too much here. Okay, maybe we can spend more here to improve here. Someone who has this eagle-eye view. But it's not what happens. At the end of the day, one day just concentrates on them. Like, I think it was Bobby Kotick who actually was the most overpaid CEO in the industry by a magnitude of thousands compared to other employees.
Who is Bobby Kotick?
Bobby Kotick was or still is, I don't know what situation is, the CEO of Activision Blizzard.
All right, okay.
And one of the terms for the sale, I believe, of Activision Blizzard was that he would step down eventually.
Yeah, retired basically, right?
Yeah, let's say yes. But Bobby Kotick earned millions, like millions on the regular. It doesn't compare to what people earn. So that's the thing. I believe money is concentrating. When you make a game, people say, oh, you have to buy games to support developers. Most of the time, you're not supporting developers unless it's indie, like it's a smaller company, likely that's going to the developers. But if someone bigger, a lot of it's just concentrating up top. It very rarely goes down. Company
Yeah.
profits go up, salaries don't.
So what you can do if you want to support the actual developers? What are our options as players?
I'd never liked that, if I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a wrong thing to pass the responsibility to consumers because the average consumer doesn't know everything and he can't know everything. Like it's something I'm gonna go on a tangent here. I'm sorry, but
Go
just
ahead,
to
man.
illustrate my
That's
point.
fine.
Uh, I hate Nestle. I don't know if you have seen everything Nestle does. Nestle is almost evil movie genius company. They are literally killing
What the
babies.
fuck?
That's the level of bad. It's the baby formula drama. But they basically addicted mothers in Africa with their baby formula, and when you do that, they stop producing their milk, the breast milk. So they couldn't afford the formula after a while, and they couldn't feed the babies. So babies
What the
died.
fuck? They're killing babies.
So
What? They're drugging moms in Africa with their product to make them addicted to the thing?
yeah, that was one of the things they did. That's just one. Because Nestle also owns almost all bottled water in the world. And it's not uncommon for them to also go and dry up wells in places and then sell the water back to people in their communities. So it's like they're also stealing water from communities and selling back to them. That's also another thing they does. Slave labor in their chocolate production, also very common. Also includes, of course, infant labor, with the CEO even getting caught saying that water shouldn't be a human right, which is like, come on, man. There's so many things they're doing awful. But why I'm saying Nestle? Because let's say you don't buy Nestle, okay? You decide, I'm never buying a Nestle product ever again. You won't be able to practically. Because Nestle owns a fuck ton of companies, of subsidiaries who are doing that. How are you going to notice every single one of them and stopping buying every single of these products on a daily basis?
Yeah, I just opened.
It's not something humans can do.
No, we cannot. I just opened this picture of all the companies that Nestle own. Like it's a shit ton of companies, and
Right there on the left.
yeah. I'm trying. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and apparently Nestle is just one of those gigantic companies who owns hundreds below them. So there's Nestle, there's PepsiCo, there's Coca-Cola, Unilever. What is this? Danone, Kellogg's, and like that's just the one company who owns several other ones. Yeah.
And that's not even listing out their water. Like I said, they own 90% of the bottled water industry.
Isn't that a monopoly?
Yep.
So is it that's illegal? Isn't it? Nestle
Oh,
monopoly.
wow. It's illegal. What are we going to do about it? maybe we should ask a politician to do something about it. Oh, no, wait, because they have money and they lobby them. Oh, no.
Fuck. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not something. I hate when we go, oh, consumers do something. It's not humanly possible in the industry, in the structure we have right now. It takes a lot of mental effort and time to do this research, to check everything and stop. So what I would say, the minimum, if you want to do something, is as a consumer, is do support people that you care, like small companies, and in this, do give them a hand. Bigger companies, that's up to you, man. I know it's not going to be easy, and the average consumer won't research it. And that's fine in a way. I can't stop you, and I understand why. I would say this relies more on game developers, actually. And as much as it pains me to say that, because I know the history of them, I would say unionizing is the only way to go. It has reached that bad point. Like, it's not easy. You can't negotiate by yourself. And that also touches on the other topic that we wanted to discuss, which was Stop Killing Games.
Well, before we go into that,
Yeah.
unionizing is a death sentence as a game developer. If you unionize, you're basically telling the whole industry that you're a problem maker and no one should hire you. So
That's that's the thing I also think. I know that, but there's also power in numbers. If you get more people to adhere to that, the more people get together, the harder it will be for them to do something about it.
yeah, but
Like unions exist, and there's unions here in Brazil even, and they work. I'm gonna say when they were born, on most places across the world, they were born for a reason. It was never because things are fine. It was always because they were to a point being exploited, right? And I know that. I know you'll be seen as a troublemaker. I don't doubt that. That's why when I say this, I know it's also something that people may look at me and be like, oh, Ivan's a troublemaker because he believes in unions. But it's kind of hard. I want to negotiate. I want people to be on the same page. I want us all to work together to make something good because I care about people, we care about games. But when you're not listening, when we see these tone deaf announcements like the Bungie one, when we see layoffs happening time and time again, and there's nothing being done, when you see CEOs who earn a fortune while the average developer can barely feed himself and has to work extra overtime. Of course, I'm generalizing here, but these stories are so common. There's a point we have to say, man, it's time to be a troublemaker because they're not listening.
well, I wish you good luck if you're planning on starting a union. I don't know. But the thing is, when you say it's better to be a troublemaker, I think that's a very individual decision. Because
It is.
what implies being a troublemaker implies you will never get a salary raise ever again in your life if
Yep.
you're not fired. So you're
Yep.
basically sacrificing your professional career to something that is not 100% certain. So I think it's a very individual decision, a very risky one. And yeah, I
But
think,
it's also at the same time, uh, by the same coin, how many people do you know that actually got raises? How many people you know who didn't have to work extra hours or had such protections? How many people you know had job security, especially recently? There's a lot of stuff like that. I think it has its value when it comes to that because when you say all that, it's like, well, it's not that very different from what it is right now. So that's the thing. When I know people won't join unions willingly, they won't be like, today I'm gonna be a syndicalist. Let's go. It's not something like that. People don't do it. They don't do that math like today I'm gonna be happy and join them. It's always like my situation is not good. My situation is not nice. So I'm gonna join a union to try and make it nice. And that's the thing. When the other option becomes more interesting, that's when people start joining. And I think more and more, if these stories continue and these situations keep happening, that's the only end game. That's the actually end result. And honestly, I think it's walking more and more towards that. Companies can stop that in a good way. I think they can by just doing what we discussed about the difference between CEO and average salary. Reduce that. Make sure people feel safe doing their jobs. Make sure there is a structure to handle overtime and not doing crunch. Because these things matter. A person should have decent working quality, a decent work life. But it's not what's happening to a lot of bigger companies.
well, I know that some companies, I won't mention names, they're very proud about the fact that they don't have mass layoffs. And but if you investigate a little bit further, there's a reason why they don't have mass layoffs. It's because their business strategy is basically let's hire as many juniors and students as we can, pay them as shitty as we can, because at the end of the day, there's just drones and people to be exploited. And that's basically it. At some point, they're gonna burn out because we are kind of treating them like shit, and they're just gonna go look for new opportunities somewhere else. And then what do? We just hire new students, new interns, something like that, and we keep recycling them. There we go. We don't have mass layoffs, but we also don't have any employee retention. So
Yep. Which is also not good for any company structure.
No, it's
You
not.
need the
Yeah.
retention because people need to develop and understand how things work. The more they understand and work and know how things work, the smoother everything goes
Yeah,
for everyone.
but they keep the retention at higher levels, higher level, not lower levels, because the lower levels are people are just considered drones. You know, they're robots, not the higher ones. So
Basically, in a way, creative accounting, you could say.
creative accounting.
Yeah, that's a term very commonly used in these situations. For a moment, when you said I won't disclose company, I thought, is he talking about Amazon? Because that sounds like Amazon. No, he's not talking about peeing bottles. It's okay. Did you see about that one on everything regarding Amazon?
No, what's happening at Amazon?
It's not what is happening. It's what's. I mean, it is in a way. It's been happening for a long time. Basically, Amazon, the warehouses mostly, the warehouse division, so distribution stuff like that. They are probably one of the most exploited employees in the United States right now.
Really? Whoa.
To a point that people have been. There was even a. There were many campaigns regarding that. One of them was actually found a lot of bottle pee because taking pee breaks was actually bad. They could have their pace docked. So it's something that bad. One guy actually made a protest mocking them, mocking Amazon, by selling on Amazon Amazon employee pee, which was a bottle of lemonade, but
What?
it was yellow. He was just mocking them. And it took a while for Amazon to take that down. It was super. That's the level. Also, not gonna forget that people. I think bottle. There you go.
No, guys, 1 second. I turned bottles of Amazon drivers pee into a #1
Number
bestseller.
one
Amazon don't
bestseller.
care about their
Yeah.
Amazon don't care about their workers' bladders, but do you know what do they care about? Selling stuff. Okay, so yeah, that's real. What the fuck?
I told you. And Amazon actually on their I don't know how to say that when the I forgot the name in English. I'm sorry. Accionistas, the guys who put the money and all that, discuss how the bonds are going, how the company is going.
Shareholders?
Shareholders.
Shareholders, yeah.
Yeah. So the shareholders, they have a report, and on that report, they mention that their employee turnover was so bad that they expected to run out of people by around 2025,
They're
2026.
gonna have robots by then. Amazon.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's like, oh, we know we're awful. We know people are leaving, don't want to work back here. It's fine. It's part of our business strategy. Like, that's not good.
But Amazon is it's a American company, right? They're based in the U.S. Isn't
Yep.
U.S.
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah. I think like in the U.S. aren't like prisons basically concentration camps nowadays? As far as I know, prisoners are
Yep.
forced to work for free, creating products or I don't know what the fuck they're creating. But then other companies are just taking whatever they're manufacturing and selling for huge profits, and the prisoners are not getting shit because who cares? They're prisoners. So
Yep.
they're basically slaves. They're just
Yep.
like basic slaves. That's the best analogy that I can
Modern day
find.
slavery.
Yeah.
Slavery.
So
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
prisons have private enterprises there, so they have an incentive as well to keep as many people locked in. So even if a person has their sentence done or something like that, they will find a way to keep it there, to keep him there. So a lot of that's why there's so many prison people there. It's part of the business as well. It's part of prisons their strategy. Instead of recovering the person, making sure they become a productive member of society later, which is the kind of intent of jails. No, let's make them work to the bones until they fall down. It's not different from slave labor. You mentioned the jobs they do. They do a lot of dangerous stuff mostly, like for instance firefighting.
What, prisoners become firefighters in the U.S.?
Yep,
What?
pretty much. When there's California wildfires, a lot of the firefighters are not firefighters. They are prisoner firefighters.
So they are in prison the whole day, and there's a fire. So they have fire trucks at prisons now. What doesn't?
They are. I don't know the whole structure. But basically, they drive people to to these prisoners to work as firefighters during these situations, and then they drive them back to jail at the end of the day.
That's insane. From fighting wildfires to digging graves, incarcerated. It's loading. The news is loading. Incarcerated workers face danger on the job. What the fuck? Wildfire season arriving in North America. It's real, guys. It's real. I'm reading the fucking news. I couldn't believe it, but it's real.
That's the thing. That's why I say when your situation is shitty and when these things happen, I think it's only fair for people to start looking for other alternatives. You know, these families, the family of these prisoners, also know about that. This isn't a secret for them. But usually they are not very high earning families. They don't have no good quality, so people just turn a blind eye, which is awful. It's the same thing for Amazon employees who often get exploited and thrown away. Games is going back to games. It's such a strange thing because games is not a cheap career to get into. It's not. You need to have the hardware for that, and yet people are not treated well. Salaries are not high.
What is the Stop Killing Games project?
So the Stop Killing Games project has to do with literally stop killing games, in not stopping people from going there and shooting a game in the head and just leaving to die. It's more like trying to preserve games on the long term. And that's a very good thing in a sense because games die, you know. I need to give a little bit more context, I would say. There's the creator. I don't remember his name exactly. He is... Let me find his channel here and I will tell you real quick. It's...
Oh, I think your mic's gone again. Ivan, try to do the mic thing again, please. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We lost Ivan again. So while he's figuring out what's happening, let's look it up. So Stop Killing Games project. What is the Stop Killing Games project? It's a video. So it's actually
Is my quality awful?
Oh yeah, your quality is bad, man.
Darn.
Go back to the other one.
What about now?
Now it's perfect. So the video games so the Stop Killing Games project is actually a video games preservation project. It's about preserving old games. Is that correct?
No, not old games.
Okay.
So there's this guy who has a channel called Accursed Farms, and this context I think it's necessary to understand what's going on. Accursed Farms made a video like 5 years ago called Games as a Service is a Fraud. And what does he mean by that? There was this movement from the games industry to turn a lot of games into game services, live services. Why this is good? It's good because for the games industry. It's good because a live service is usually far more I don't remember more profitable than a normal game. Because a normal game, when you create one, you have to go through the whole process. Pre-production, concepting, structuring, planning, and then it goes into production, and then there's this whole production pipeline that you have to adjust, and it takes years to make a game. But the moment you make a live service game, it's live. And you just keep updating it with extra content. So people keep playing. It's much cheaper to maintain and far more profitable. That's good in a sense, you know? You have a game, it keeps receiving support, and you keep receiving content. Sounds great on the paper. The downside of that is that the company can at any moment pull the plug. And what's the problem with that? A lot of these live service games are not free. They're paid. So let's say, I will use an example of a game I bought and I can't play anymore. Monday Night Combat. I bought the game didn't do well. It flopped. They shut the servers and I can't play the game anymore.
So you have like basically, you have the game on your Steam library, you cannot even launch the game?
Not as it is, no. Super Monday Night Combat was their attempt to do that again. It flopped again. Again, can't play it. Atlas Reactor. It's a free game, sure. But if you bought something on the game, now you can't use it because it also required online service. So now all your purchases, all these things are gone.
Basically, you're paying a fee to access a service, That's it. You're not paying for a game anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
And the issue there that that he raises is that the moment you buy something, it should be yours. You bought it. It feels very uh, scummy to just go and take away your product whenever they want. And so many games is a bit of an exaggeration, but there's a good amount of games nowadays who have an online component, and it must have that online component. Must have. But it's a single player experience. What do you do now? Or if it may have a multiplayer part, but the multiplayer part is an extra, and now you can't access that. An example would be Assassin's Creed a while back. I think it was Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood. It had an online multiplayer mode, which I played a little bit. It was okay, but Ubisoft shut that down. If you want to play that, you can't.
You can still play the single player mode, right?
Yes, but if you bought it considering the multiplayer, well, you don't have that part anymore. They just took it away from you.
But I mean, at the end of the day, they are paying for the service, right? They are paying for their maintenance. They are the one who developed the service. It's on their right to shut down the service at any moment they want, right?
And that's the one thing that they do consider on the stop killing games. Like I said, the situation is more complex, and I'm gonna get to that. The main game that led to this discussion being brought back up, the stop killing games movement going forward, was The Crew. The Crew is an old game, okay? It's a game that's been around, I think it's 6, 7 years now, I don't remember. But there were other versions of it later. The issue with The Crew is you could perfectly play it single player, but they shut it down, the online component, and now you can't play the single player either. So that's an issue that they raise again. It's like, for those who want to play The Crew, they can't anymore. For those who had it, you can't. Even though you bought it, it's not possible. And you say, yeah, the company can shut down the service at any moment. That's perfectly reasonable as well. If a service is not profitable, it makes sense for a company to shut it down, because otherwise they'll be losing money. So the solution he proposes is release a way for the game to function without the company. Release a way for the server to be made by players so they can play it together. Some way to do that so they don't have to do it, they don't have to maintain it. And it's become a bit of a discussion, because it's not as simple as that in a way. I perfectly understand people who are against it, such as Thor. If you see his channel, his Pirate Software, he is vehemently against it, because it would be very complicated, would lead to a lot of issues, such as people could sabotage live services to shut them down so they could host their own services. I think that's a bit of a stretch. He mentioned Team Fortress 2 being a good example of that, because Team Fortress 2 was being infested by bots who were there just to maliciously damage the game. But the only reason, ironically, that Team Fortress continued working was because people could host their own servers. Because then they can ban the bots and keep, this close-knit community and avoid bots from invading it. So very ironically, his own example shows how releasing server for users is actually good to maintain the game alive.
Yeah, I mean, those people are fans. They love the game. They
Exactly.
want to play it. I would assume they want to play without the bots most of the time, right? If they're real fans.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's also like another friend of Thor also said, that's another thing. This whole discussion has been so poorly handled by both parties, I would say. The people of the Stop Killing Games say that they should do it because it would be an easy win for politicians, so they don't have to focus on more dire, more important things. That paints them in a bad light, I would say, because it's like, we have to pressure politicians to focus on important things. Not saying this isn't, but not give them a tool to distract. It's not nice. And on the other side, there was Thor calling that disgusting and not wanting to have a discussion about this at all, which is something I don't think it's conductive. It's not good. And kind of ironic when he goes and says, attack the discussion, not the people. But when you say it's disgusting, what someone is saying is disgusting, I would say that's not conducive for a good discussion, man. Um, and then Thor's friend also says, in a very, he said, how can I describe it? Sorry. He was very condescending by saying to players that, why are you playing an old game? Play the new one, play the upgraded version. I'm gonna say, that's not so simple, right? What if you can't run the newer game for whatever reason? What if your hardware can't handle it? What if you like the older game? Why would I play the upgraded version if I prefer the older one? And I have the older one.
It's basically Disney saying, why do you want to watch the original Lion King? Just watch this amazing CGI remake. Like, no,
Exactly.
fuck you, Bob Iger. I want the original.
It's very different, and it's not nice to say that. And he said, oh, players are so entitled. I agree, players are entitled, but you're not making good points by acting such an arrogant manner. Another good example that he mentions, and I think it's also complicated, is World of Warcraft.
By the way, just to make it sure, I don't think anyone at Disney said this thing about Lion King. It was just my interpretation of the facts. Go ahead.
Another good example is World of Warcraft. If you bought World of Warcraft, you bought World of Warcraft, and you pay a signature for it. So you can argue it's a service. It will, because you're paying a monthly subscription. Okay. But what if I don't want to play the game after all the changes it had? Because I bought World of Warcraft. Why am I being forced to play Cataclysm, which changed the whole game? Which it had to be done, to be fair. Like, they updated graphics, made changes, advanced the lore, cool stuff. But the people who bought World of Warcraft for the classic experience don't have that anymore. Even though they bought the game.
Yeah, but Ivan, it's not a game; it's a service.
No, you bought the game. That's the difference there.
You paid a fee.
service-
You paid a fee to have access to a service.
You pay, not it's. I wouldn't agree with that, because you bought a product. You bought the game, World of Warcraft. You have an expectation of how the game is going to run. If the game you bought changes too much, you still have the original one, but you can't play it. And it was also, again, going back to the condescending tone. Remember, I don't know if you saw, there was a Blizzard panel where people were asking for classic servers, because there's a good chunk of people who started playing it and want that experience. The World of Warcraft of today is radically different from the original one in a lot of things. Balance, money, you name it. It's a different experience. And they said, you don't, no, we don't have plans, and you don't want it either. Like, who are you to tell me what I don't want? What's your problem, man? It's a very arrogant way thing to say. And so there was such a demand for it that private servers were born. The biggest one being called Nostalrius. And it was only born because people wanted the classic experience. And then Blizzard shut that down and people got mad because, like, okay, I can't have the experience anymore. And then suddenly they're like, oh, look, we have classic servers now. We did it for you because we care about you guys. Like, that's not the whole narrative we've been seeing so far. You guys care about money.
Yeah, but every company cares about
Every company does, but it's like, it's very arrogant to say we won't do it until they see, oh, look at this private server. There's a lot of users here we can monetize.
Oh, so they made it somehow profitable, something that it was not before. Okay. Yeah, that's shady, yeah.
So that's the thing. I know private servers have a bad reputation, with reason. But usually private servers are born because the company is not providing something people want. And so the Stop Killing Games would be kind of like that. It's trying to preserve games that would have these online components that are part of experience or maybe just a side part, and preserving that. So people in the future can play them, and trying to somewhat put some way that live services don't just shut down and you never have access to it. And you may say, oh, you have an access to the service, but if I bought a skin on League of Legends, I would argue I own the skin. A company would argue, no, we're just lending the skin to you. But that's the issue, right? A lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't have the vision for that, and a lot of companies don't make clear at any moment we can shut down the service, and tough luck to you.
Of course they do. They do that on all the terms and conditions of.
Oh, I'm sorry, you read all of them.
I've got all the 200 pages. Who doesn't? Of course not, man.
But that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
not something made clear. The issue they also raise is that it's okay to have that in a way, written somewhere, but a company should also have made that perfectly clear, like very clear that this service is online and we can shut it down when we want, or make a lifetime. Some games also can't be bought anymore or owned due to licensing issues. Would be an example, I think, about GTA San Andreas. It had to be re-released because they lost the license to music in the game.
So they patched some of the songs?
Yep, that would be
Alright.
the way to do it. But if they don't, a lot of companies would also say, oh, since we don't want to change or buy licenses, we won't. On their case, it's easy. Patch out the songs. Works. It's not the same as the original experience, but that's okay. Because people can still have the San Andreas CD and still have the music there. But some companies have that so integrated with the game they can't. For instance, some games bought they bought the license to use real guns. Guns have copyright as well. So now, when the game gets released again, right? It gets after a while, it can't be released because they lost the license, and they can't redo all the guns because of that. So it would. They also mentioned that it would be ideal to put somewhere naming this game. The license will expire after X years. Because of that, they make it clear for users as well. So the Stop Killing Games also go. They didn't go so much into that, but the discussion branched into all of this, because preserving games is much more complicated nowadays due to the nature of live services.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And I think, like, again, gaming and the gaming industry, it's a passion thing. People see people who grew up playing games and who still play games. There's a lot of emotional connection and involved in this whole
Yeah.
process. Like playing games, in my opinion, is one of the ultimate entertainment experiences. Right? It's more than just listening to a song. It's more just watching a movie. You're actually interacting with the world. Your actions make drastic changes in this world that you're interacting with. Like it's such a deep experience that most of us want to preserve that, want to keep that for future generations. I want like for me it was Zelda Ocarina of Time. I had like a wow moment when I played for the first time when as a kid, and since then I played several times since then. I think I beat this game, 10, 15, maybe even 20 times. And but one thing that I realized as I grew older, that it has been harder and harder to replay that game, because I like the original one. I like the Nintendo 64 one. I don't own a Nintendo 64 one. Okay, you can maybe find somewhere a Nintendo Wii and actually download it there on the virtual console store. Well, this is shut down. I don't have access to that anymore. Okay, so maybe you can get the Nintendo 3DS version. I don't like the Nintendo 3DS version. Even if I did, their store is also shut down. So now I need to resource to used cartridges. So you see, I can totally understand, like, over time it gets harder and harder to have access to those games that you had it was once yours, like it belonged to you, and now it's just more and more inaccessible, and companies are making them even more inaccessible by turning them into services. So
Exactly.
okay, I see the problem. So that's what Stop Killing Games, the project, is trying to change.
Yep. Make it somewhat so you can play the games after the game shuts down. Because one point that can also be made is, if the game shut down, it wasn't profitable. So why not release it so people can play it on their own? And that goes all over the place. Some companies handle the shutdown of games well. They bring examples of that. They are rare cases. But there's people who still play. For instance, there is Star Wars universe. I think it was something like it was an MMO of Star Wars. Very good game, but population died down. But people can still host the game because a developer leaked the code after it was shut down. Oh, wait up. Sorry, cat's pulling the wire. I'm afraid I would lose my microphone.
No,
She's begging to be loved. Right?
Motoka.
You little pest. I love you. But yeah, so you see there's a community who likes the game, who wants to keep playing the game, and only because a developer leaked the code is that they are able to still do it. And to this day, there's still hundreds of players playing it. So I understand that perfectly. I think it's a fair thing to do, to a degree, to release some way for the person to play the game. Thor and the other people against it say that it's not reasonable to do it and would kill live service games. As is, I agree, because people wouldn't be interested in making live service games at all. If you're a small company, it would be a very big financial burden to run servers or something like that. But on change the structure of your games retroactively. But I believe if it was decided, okay, from now on we start preserving games, this point forward, people will adapt. Companies will adapt. They will plan all that structure, all that end of life plan early. And if they don't, I think it's kind of fair. She's falling. It's kind of fair to, them be punished for it some way. You didn't plan for it. Why you didn't? When it's so clear that we said you should. It's similar to LGPD, which is the data plan.
LGBT? What? I'm
No,
sorry.
it's the I don't know how you guys say it in the EU. I know you guys have your own name for it. It's the data protection laws.
All right. Okay, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't say starting today, like the moment was signed. Starting now, everyone needs to change all your structure or you will be fine. That didn't happen. There was a transition period so companies and structures could adapt and change so they would disclose data properly and they would handle data better and all that stuff. Because it's the reasonable thing to do, right? If you just say everyone's going to be fine starting tomorrow, you will kill businesses. And that's not the intent of anything like that. It will be awful. And the same goes for this. I think it went, these are the directions we want. This is something you have to plan. Have an end of life plan for your project. And it will start in 5 years. It will become like 5, 6 years. I know games can take up to 10 sometimes. I'm just throwing days here. This is the timeline you guys have to make adjustments. I think that's fine. I think it's fair, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Sorry, go
it's
ahead.
gonna be hard. I know it's gonna be hard. Like I know it's not gonna be something like this, and companies just suddenly know how to do it. But I think it will be good on the long term for everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. And as you mentioned, companies will have to adapt, and they can, and they can. Do you remember the whole loot box scandal that happens a couple of years ago? They were all implementing loot box, and the players started complaining. They started raising their voices, like, "This is shitty. Like, I feel like I'm being scammed," and all of a suddenly it became practice, like the norm not to do that many loot box because public just didn't like it. So they can adapt, they can change. It doesn't matter if they want to or not. And yeah, hopefully. How big is this Stop Killing Games project? How old it is? Do you know? Like their force?
It gained force around, I'm gonna say this year actually. It started to gain more force. Like I said, it was due to the crew being shut down at the beginning of the year. And the counterpoint is always that there was no one playing. Why would people want it? It's like, because it's their game, man. And it's a single player game that can't be played anymore. Like, that's not a good argument. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well.
It's a very, like I said, condescending. And that's the thing. Like I said, people have been acting very poorly throughout this whole discussion. There's people who are very respectful, people I see that are competent and I accompany on different channels, like Louis Rossmann. I don't know if you keep track of his channel. He's a repair channel who's been advocating across the United States to make it so people can repair their own cell phones, their own equipment. He's been fighting against mostly Apple for a long time. And he has a good point. It's like, you have a phone. I should be able to repair my phone. I should be able to make the changes myself to fix it. I shouldn't need to bring to Apple to make every single fix. And that's one thing that he's been advocating. And it's good because it reduces electronic waste. It's good because it makes it cheaper for people to repair, which makes a competition for Apple, who will also have to lower the prices for people to repair. So it's something that everyone, like the average consumer, wins. The only one who loses is Apple. And he is one who's been advocating in favor of it because he feels it's very similar. How companies can just shut their game, do whatever they want of it, consumer be damned. And that's something that's problematic.
Yeah, but I think Louis Rossmann, he's been, as you mentioned, fighting against this practice from Apple, anti repair practice from Apple for many years, to the point that I think Apple even change some policies. As far as I know, now you are able, not even as a repair shop, as a customer, to order individual pieces from Apple. Did you know that?
Yeah,
It's a new thing. But as far as I know, he was like a central piece behind that
he was.
push that forced Apple into to go into this direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he is the guy who made all of this possible today. So, of course, his side is on the production side, like on the product, physical product. But I think there's a lot of parallels here with our online games and our online experiences. Like I told you with the World of Warcraft example, there are games I bought with an expectation, right, of how it's going to work, and today it's a totally different experience, which I can't enjoy the same way. One example I have personally is Rainbow Six. The game I bought was this tactical, based on real life uh, play characters. It was very ground based, not much sci-fi stuff at all. Fine, it was a good experience. Today, it has such absurd sci-fi elements and so many things to consider because of all the characters and all the new features on it. I can't enjoy the same way. It's not something I can have fun the same way I did in the past. And it was like for until recently, it was my fifth most played game, but I just can't anymore because it's a totally different experience.
You know what would be nice? Like, I think that would solve everything. Once you start your game, whatever game it is, an online game, you just have a little drop-down menu where you can select the version of the game. You have there all the previous versions. That's it. That solves everything.
I know why games as a service won't do that, like Rainbow Six example, because if we were to do that, it would fragmentate the community. So their game would be broken down by different people, and the sales would be all weird. People wouldn't find people with matchmaking. I understand. Um, but for games like Team Fortress, they do that actually. They do offer different versions. They offer stock service, like they call, which is a game without the all the equipables. It's like how Team Fortress was when it was released. It's good. People have the option to play it. Some other companies do that. I believe Paradox does it. Every game of theirs, you have a drop-down menu. It shows every single version there of the game you can play. If you want to go back to one, you can. Go ahead, enjoy it. It's your prerogative. That's fair, I think. And they don't need to list everything there, I believe. They can just throw a repository somewhere so people can play it later. I think it's good. I agree with that. But I do agree with the complications of changing servers, of making it so it works fine, making it so bad actors don't intentionally ruin the experience. Because people, there's another thing that annoys me. That's why I kind of mocked you earlier when you said it about the term service. It's illegal. Like people trying to ruin games, it's illegal. Oh, really? It's illegal. Then why don't we arrest them? Oh, right, we can't find them because it's the internet. It's not as simple as just punish them. Because like the bots doing what I told about Team Fortress 2, that objectively made the game bad. They were just there to be bad actors because they weren't just bots. There were bots with aim hack and wall hack using sniper, which when it shoots you in the head is usually an insta kill. And also they said a lot of horrible slurs. Just it was horrible all around. How are you going to arrest them if you can't find them? How are you
Why?
going to arrest them if they are in another nation who doesn't allow such arrests?
Why would you even care about arresting someone who's using bots?
It's because the bots are intentionally ruining your experience.
Yeah, fuck it.
Intentionally.
Yeah, but it's a video game. Why do
It's
they? How is this a crime?
because you're also ruining the business itself. Let's use, for example, Ragnarok Online or World of Warcraft. Ragnarok Online mainly. Ragnarok Online uses the Zeni as a currency. Zeni you get from selling items who drops from mobs. Okay, like creatures you kill, they drop like a little stick. You sell the stick, you gain money. Good. Okay. So what's the problem we have here? Imagine that, okay, you have a person doing this. A person has limitations, right? They need to rest, they need to do other things. Fine. Now imagine you have a bot doing that non-stop. The problem you have now is that you basically created an endless gold mine. So the gold mine is just throwing money into your currency, throwing money into your currency, throwing money into your currency. That what that does is rampant inflation. Money doesn't begin to work as money anymore at all.
You're talking about in-game money or real life money?
Yeah, in-game money.
Okay, okay.
So basically, you broke the economy of a game. It doesn't work. Ragnarok Online, after a while, devolved into, I don't know how to say that in English, basically trade, as in people didn't trade with money. They trade goods. They were like, oh, I don't have, because goods were worth so much more than money existing in game, people just couldn't hold that money. The game didn't support that amount of money being held. So what they did is that they would like, I would trade you 3 shields for this sword, which is bad as well, because that leads to a lot of scams. People can put an item and then rechange in the last minute. Done. Bye, I scammed you. So it becomes this whole very fishy business, you know? World of Warcraft was the same thing. They had a bot issue because these bots were selling gold. And so if this gold mine is pushing money into the economy non-stop, the whole economy of the game stops working. You break it. So I understand what you're saying. Like, why would you worry? Because at the end of the day, these people are intentionally breaking your gaming experience.
I see. I understand it now. Makes sense. So I found this website. I'm gonna share the screen real quick. Screen share. So stopkillinggames.com. This site's dedicated to the real-world action on ending the practice of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. So it's a petition. You can go on that website and sign. Apparently, it already has 200,000 signatures. And let's see. The description is an increasing number of video games are sold as goods, but designed to be completely unplayable for everyone as soon as the support ends. The legality of this practice is untested worldwide, as many governments do not have clear laws regarding these actions. It is our goal to have authorities examine this behavior and hopefully end it, as it is an assault on both consumers' rights and preservation of media. We are pushing this in two ways, and the description goes and goes on. Just guys, take a look. Sounds very interesting and fully supported. I'm gonna sign it later.
I can't sign it mostly because I'm not in the EU. So good luck to you there,
What
EU
is
citizen.
this? Is a EU only initiative?
EU, yeah, it's an EU only initiative because they have laws there that, from what I understood, they have laws and initiatives that make it more possible there. And the idea is that if you start there, it will carry over to other regions and will become easier. Like I said, this isn't a simple issue either. I'm gonna put an example because people also mentioned the companies could lead to malicious compliance, which I believe that could happen. Honestly, if they do that, I also make laws against that. Companies do malicious compliance everywhere. That's not a reason to stop it. But companies could also compete with markets that don't have that and can do things better. For instance, China. China wouldn't have anything like that. China hardly ever adheres to a lot of things the western part of the game development industry does. Or Russia. They don't adhere to the same things. If I'm not mistaken, they don't adhere to the same copyright things either. So to them, a lot of these things like, whatever. And so companies could move there and start doing business there, or only there. I don't know. Of course, this is just me mentioning a possible malicious compliance, and then governments would be like, if you want to distribute the game here, you have to change it, and they would have to act upon it. It's a whole process. Laws are always like that. You do a law, someone finds a hole, you patch the hole, and this keeps going and improving until it becomes something good. It takes time. So this project, if it starts now, I'm gonna tell you, I think it won't go anywhere until like 5 years from now, honestly. But
Yeah,
it's good. It's a start.
it's a start. It's like with the new AI laws. As far as I know, there's like this year we got new AI laws here in Europe, and because it was like a gray area at the beginning when we start having Mid Journey, all those image generator tools, and like ChatGPT, like it was like everyone had like question marks. What we are allowed to
Yeah.
use that? What we do? So anyway, when it comes to the game industry, because that's what we're talking about, EU has decided that it's not a big deal. You guys can use AI in games, and this like okay, good. Now we're good. It doesn't change the fact that AI is still scraping the internet and using artists' images without their consent. This problem still exists, but we now know that it's okay to use AI generated images in our game. I don't know. There's still much to be decided, but it's the beginning, right? Those things take time. When it comes to the government, everything is super slow.
It's normal. Like, to a degree, it's
Yeah.
normal. It's by design. I don't find that horrible. I am not on the position Thor has of just going, no, this is disgusting. I think it's a good start for the conversation, and it's good that we're having it finally. I think eventually companies will figure it out. We will create a structure that will be reasonable. There will be bumps on the way, like any law, any process. But if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? When this will be discussed? I think it won't happen. So it's important for us to just do it now, start, and work its kinks along the way.
Perfect. Still in the topic of video games,
Video games.
Have you seen what Ubisoft has was caught up doing recently?
I look into it a little bit. I I don't understand it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very honest and say I don't understand why people are saying it's bribing. Like that to me is like, didn't companies always do that with influencers?
So, for context, for those listening, we're talking about recent news that Ubisoft was caught bribing creators to talk positively about their upcoming release, Star Wars Outlaws. And apparently, they were offering Disneyland tickets, travels, other perks, I don't know, like early access to the game, a bunch of other things, only if they talked positively about the game. That I think that was the different aspects. Before should do that without any expectation. Like you're gonna hopefully talk good about the game. But there was this guy, the Star Wars Fury guy. Apparently Ubisoft reached out to him and he said, yeah, that sounds all those presents and travels and gifts sounds amazing, but you guys need to know that I'm gonna speak up my mind, right? If the game is shit, I'm gonna say it's shit. They outright just didn't do the thing anymore, because they know the game's shit. Have you seen the footage that leaked? Or
I didn't see because I'm so jaded with Star Wars content and Star Wars games. It's like I have very low expectations with all of them.
you're not the only one, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will blame EA for the most part because their games they haven't been hitting the mark, which is a shame because Star Wars has a lot of potential. I think the last one that I heard was good was Star Wars, uh, the one where you play a Sith, an apprentice of Darth Vader. What was the name?
Force Unleashed, right?
Force Unleashed.
I
Yeah,
think so, yeah.
I heard a lot of good stuff about it, but not high expectations. I think it doesn't paint your company in a good light to do these things either way. Like, it becomes so clear when a reviewer is just being super positive about a game. So much so I've been so I've been looking for. I have reviewers I watch that are critical about a lot of stuff. I prefer an honest opinion to make my decision than anything else. And honestly, I bought games that they deemed flawed many times because I said, okay, I know the flaws. It's good. It's something I'm willing to go with. But when you go, oh, everything's perfect, there's nothing bad. Look at this graphic, it's so good. It's like I don't want to hear that. I'm not here for this stupid positivity. I want something honest. No game is perfect. No media is perfect. So you have to also mention them. You have to be critical. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, but it's hard to find like critical thinkers nowadays, like people who actually speak their minds online, especially when there's. Imagine if you're a beginner, like you just started as a creator, and there's this huge company who offers you, I don't know, travels and gifts and presents and money. Like, sure, I want to get a head start. I want to grow as a creator. That's what I need to do. That's what I'm gonna do. So I don't blame them that
I don't
much.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the only issue there is that they would have to disclose it's being sponsored. That's fine. If you say I'm being sponsored, hands washed. You are being transparent. You don't need to go, they bought me a house. You just need to say I'm being sponsored.
Yeah, yeah, I think this will solve everything, guys. They just sent me to Disneyland, and I've been sponsored, so they told me not to say anything bad. I don't know. They just could
If you
be.
say, yeah, if you just go, I've been sponsored, you already disclose it. You already mentioned, that already makes clear there's a bit of a conflict of interest. Like they're putting money on you. That's fine because people are now aware. The issue is that if they just make it sound spontaneous, like look at this game I found, it's so awesome, wow, and then you find out they were paid to say that's like, then you didn't find, man. They bought you.
Yeah,
But so that's why I don't judge them. Go ahead, go out there, do it, and it's something that I always imagined was, like I said, it was standard. I thought everyone knew that happens. It's not something that shocks me the least.
okay. Yeah,
It's it's normal, perfectly normal. Uh, I was a bit afraid actually when you mentioned that because I thought we would be going back to Gamergate because that was,
Gamergate. What was that? What is that?
oh, you my sweet summer child. I'm so happy you living under a rock. No, seriously, it was a very bad movement that happened like 10 years ago. We were in college when it happened.
Really?
And it started with people saying that a designer called Zoe Quinn slept with a journalist to get to get her game Depression Quest published and get good positive um, review of it. But that wasn't true. That never happened. So the whole thing devolved into these two camps. One of them saying it's about ethics in games journalism, and another one saying it was a harassment campaign towards female developers. And the more I see it, at the time I thought, I won't deny, I will expose myself to that. I believe in the game journalist part. But today, as I read more retrospectively, I realized it was a harassment campaign towards female participants in the industry in general. So famous people like Anita Sarkeesian, she was targeted. Zoe Quinn, she was targeted. There were plenty more. It was very nasty at the end. And at the end of the day, a lot of things they say that happened of these buying favors to have your game published. Today I see small developers don't do that. They don't have the power to do that. And sleeping with a journalist to have your game covered, what? That doesn't. No. That's so surreal to think someone would do that and there wouldn't be any checks and balances to be like, oh, right, this game you made is totally spontaneous review to be published here, right? Let's go. No, corporations have ways to check on these things, like the game reviewers, game reviewers like IGN. So doesn't make sense there. And also, uh, it didn't. A lot of the topic about game ethics in journalism, it doesn't make sense either. These things always happen. Companies always bought to have their games reviewed. Games always had contacts with IGN and other companies to have their games reviewed in another way and in a positive light most of the part. Like, why do you think Pokemon on IGN received a very a 7.8 review, and the negative point it said it was too much water. It's because they have to be very careful what they say it's bad. They just can't go around shooting stuff like saying, "Oh, it's the game is awful for X, Y, and Z." They can't because they're sponsored. So to me, today it's super weird. So when you mentioned that, it was like, "Oh man, are we going down that hole again?"
Yeah, that just proves that IGN is not a good place to like. It's not a trustworthy game or review website. Like I'll never fully trust anyone has been bought or offered like gifts or money with a review because like let's take MKBHD for example. That's a tech reviewer from YouTube that I love. Well, the guy is the king, right? When it comes to tech review, he's the best, and in my opinion, he's the best because he's not influenced by any of this bullshit. You know, he always speaks his mind up. Whatever it is, whatever the deal, he just says straight up what he thinks about it. Like every year, he gets invited by Apple to go to their campus. He gets access. Early access to many of their devices, but when he thinks something is trash and shit and he doesn't understand, he outright say it. So this doesn't make any sense. I don't know where they're going with this. Like, and I respect him for that. You know, no matter the amount of money he gets, at the end of the day, he's still honest. Like he wouldn't say, "Oh, there's too much water." He doesn't review games, by the way. But if he did, I don't think he would just say, "Oh, there's too much water in this game because I need to say something bad." No, he would just say, "This game is shit for that and that reason." And yeah,
That's fair. I actually think if you're being sponsored, that's fine, so long as you disclose it, like we said. And also, some reviewers I follow, even when they were sponsored, they were told about. Um, they mentioned and they said, okay, they allow me to be rude here, to point everything out. Okay. For instance, the Mandalore is a YouTuber I absolutely love. He's hilarious with his reviews, and he does reviews the way I like it. I'm gonna be honest,
the
because
Mandalore.
he's not a guy who just goes, "I'm playing a game. Oh, the shooting's fine. All that stuff." He goes deep, you know. Mandalore Gaming. Check on YouTube, you'll find him.
Gaming, the Mandalore Gaming.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
I hate the
Mandalore.
Mandalore game, by the way. I know also that guys just strife hates. They don't hate each other. It's just he's just mocking.
Oh,
And he covers a lot of very cool games.
he has almost 1 million subscribers. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I think he deserves it, honestly, because he covered a lot. He doesn't go just into it's a game. He goes into the story of the development, the difficulties, why is it the way it is. He goes into the quality of the songs, the sound design, menus, and I know there's a lot of people that will be, why should I know about all that? And I will say it's because it's a part of the game. If people make a game and the menu is shit, I'm sorry, it's a good indicator of the rest of experience. It's a good start, let's say. Or the song, because songs in games, I spoke with Thiago Adamo, who is a great composer here, and I mentioned to him, a good song in a video game, a good song, good video game soundtrack, you will not realize it's good. You will not notice it because it's good. That's the intention of a soundtrack a lot of times. If it's great, it becomes memorable. You will be listening it later. If it's awful, you will forget it instantly and you will hate it as well. Like you will remember for it being bad.
Oh, Motoka. That was cute. Ivan, I wanted to ask you about something else before we started the podcast. I think we mentioned very shortly. I think we talked about Trump real quick, and he got shot, and the fact there's a conspiracy behind it. I have my doubts, right? Of course no one knows for sure besides the people who were involved with the shooting, like the FBI maybe, if there was a conspiracy or not. I have my doubts. I have a good feeling that there was a conspiracy because of all the other conspiracy theories that I heard throughout the year. Many of them have been proven true. And but you said you have a very strong opinion about it, and you don't think necessarily it's a conspiracy. I want to hear your take on it. Why don't you think it's a conspiracy? Oh, I think your mic's not working again. By the way.
Test. There we go.
Yeah, you're
It
back.
is. It's just that cat again pulled the wire. But yeah, uh, it's not. I don't think it's a conspiracy because it's not the first time an American president or candidate got shot, ever. It's not the second time a candidate got shot. It's not the third time a candidate got shot. It's not even the fourth time. Like, it's such a surreal thing when you look at America, when you see that they have such a love for guns and such a protective feeling towards having guns, and even the highest political positions are getting shot semi regularly. It makes you wonder, when are you guys deciding to, just do something about it? Because it's very clear it's not working. I'm not even talking just about the school shootings, which is the most egregious thing in my eyes, but when the supposedly highest position in your country is in danger constantly of getting shot because of that, man, you guys are doing something very wrong there.
So you attribute the whole incident to the gun culture.
Not just the gun culture, would say, but it does help because if you don't have a gun culture, people would attack him with other stuff, like Bolsonaro down here who got stabbed. And a lot of the times when you check historically people like that who just randomly try a murder, the more you analyze, the more you see these people were crazy, like mentally unwell, clearly, like uh, like how it happened with Kennedy when he got shot. Which, by the way, it's a whole can of worms. It's more complicated. It's not just he got shot. If you there's a channel called Lemino who made an analysis of that and shows why there are holes in that analysis, and it's super interesting. Makes you really question what happened, but it can also be attributed to very poor investigation that happened at the time. It was really, really bad, and either way, Kennedy got shot. People started investigating because people thought it was the Soviet Union, like their rivals. But the Soviet Union reaction at the time was actually, "Oh shit! Why was he shot? We didn't. Did we send someone? We didn't send someone. Someone should be shooting." And then they were like, "Oh, it was a crazy person. Ah, okay, it was a crazy person." Then they find out he was a communist. Oh fuck! Not no. Like it was a whole roller coaster of emotions on the Soviet side of, "Oh fuck! What is going on?" And it's very interesting to see how they didn't intend that because, gonna be honest, unless a nation is in open war with one another, like Russia and Ukraine, killing a political leader of another nation is not a good look. It opens a can of worms for yourself as well, and it also makes people, your own leader, far more vulnerable because you just say it's okay to do that. And so you start to increase the whole level of things. It starts with a shot, a very tricky shot. Then increase to maybe an open action of someone trying to kill someone openly, like just a mob going on top of someone. And so your political figures start to becoming far more danger. It's not interesting for them in general. Because you want your political figures to be somewhat safe. Killing someone actually of that position, Trump admittedly wouldn't be that bad because he's not the president right now. But if you kill a president, it leads to a lot of instability. A lot. It's very bad for the nation as a whole. Like when Lincoln got shot, the United States almost went into turmoil because it was shortly after the Union War. Luckily, they had just finished in a way, so they could actually, you know, make things somewhat safe now. But in other situations, it would lead to a lot of instability, and you don't know who's going to go to power later. Unless you have a very clear idea of who it is, you may jeopardize yourself. It may lead to all-out war or other consequences that you can't predict. Like it's better to have the devil you know in a way.
Well, one thing's for sure, he's winning. Trump's winning. You said like it's not such a bad thing that it wouldn't have been such bad if he got shot because he's not the current president. Well, first of all, I don't agree with that. I think it's a bad thing if anyone gets shot, regardless of
Yeah.
their political position. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I'm 100% sure, not 100, 99% sure that he'll probably be the president because whatever they have right now, it's not working. Like Biden is what 90. If it's not 90, he looks like it.
But he's not the candidate anymore.
But he's the current president so far until
Yeah, he
November.
is, but he's not the candidate, so he's not running. He's not important for that part anymore. You know, they were saying that. I was keeping track of how they said he's old, and I agree. He was actually having senile moments, which I agree. Trump is also old as fuck, actually.
He's
which
70,
is ironic
right?
that they,
How old is Trump? Let's see.
He's I think 78, if I'm not
Trump
mistaken.
age. Let's see.
He is over 70.
70
sure.
age, and then
go.
Biden's is 110, no, 81. So
81.
it's just
They have only 3 years.
yeah, but Biden. I think the problem with Biden, or we're talking about age. I think the problem is not age. I think the problem has to do with mental cognitivity. As far as I understand, Biden has dementia. It's not proven. They will never admit it, but that's what it looks like, right?
I think he has not dementia. I think he's just having being senile because you start to have these lapses of attention and stuff like that. And I think Trump also displays signs of that. If you see his speeches, sometimes he goes rambling. It just makes no sense. It's like, what are you saying? Are you having a stroke? It's kind of like that. And I think the new candidate, Kamala, actually stealing a lot of the thunder because she's young. That's one thing. So the age thing, young comparatively, she won't have the same discourse around her. She doesn't have all the drama that Biden had. And also, I don't know if you saw that. Oh man, that was. Trump needs very badly to have someone who runs his campaign well because Jesus Christ, we went into a kind of a discussion panel with black representatives, and they sent some hard questions his way. Did you see it?
No.
It's very uncomfortable to see because they just pulled all this, all the things he said that were straight up racist towards black people, and he just goes, "Oh, I don't know when Kamala became black. She didn't used to be black. She was Indian, but now she's black." And she's like, and he's like, "What are you saying? Why are you going to this tangent?" And he also said, "No one says things so bad to me, such horrible things to me." The interviewer asking the hard questions to him. Like, if you see the whole thing, it's just cringe, and it's very unnerving to see him say, "What did they think would happen?" Placing him there. If you can find the clip and you put it there, you will see it's it's bad.
So how can I look it for Trump?
Black interview or
black journalist.
No. Let's see if that shows up.
It's just black or Indian. Okay, so let's put that on the screen here real quick.
Well, I can say no. I think it's
1 second. Let's start from the beginning.
Sir, do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir.
So
that's only that part because if you see everything, it's even more uncomfortable. But yeah.
So he was. I don't know the whole context. I don't know the story, but apparently he's confused because she always identifies as Indian, and now all of a sudden she identifies as black. Is that the case? She never.
She was always black.
So
she always identified as black. She doesn't have that. It doesn't make sense. Like, where you're pulling Indian out from?
I don't know. I don't know where he got this information from.
That's the thing. He always kind of bullshits his way around conversations. And it's something he does well, I'm going to say. Trump always had a good way of bullshitting conversations. It's a good I'm gonna say good quality, but it's a skill. It's a good skill to have. It's not good to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
if you want to get your way, that's a good skill to have. And as a
exactly.
president, I guess, as a president, that's a good skill to have. You want to get your way,
Also,
yeah.
that's why I'm saying it's a good skill to have. I don't like people who do it, but he does it well. And I think all his points, I think his basis for bullshitting his way is kind of falling. I don't know why. I think it's because maybe it's becoming too outrageous for people to agree. No idea, man. But yeah, I think with all this situation, when it was Biden, I agree. When it was Biden running, I was like, okay, Trump's gonna win, man. Now that's Kamala, I'm like, nah. After seeing all that, he's bumbling his way. I don't know if the voters are gonna really stick with him with all of this. I know there's always that very strong basis, always. But yeah, because one thing people really didn't like wasn't just that it was the Democrats, it was because Joe Biden was, like you said, old. Dude is fucking old, and you can see his moments of senility. It's not nice to have your leader, your nation leader, just suddenly spacing out, looking to the nothing and not reacting, or saying dumb things, like straight up wrong because he just doesn't remember. It's not a good look at all.
Yeah, of
Now
course.
okay. Now that's not the case. I'm like, well, the only things you guys have to complain about is that's Democrats,
Yeah,
basically.
that's the thing, Ivan. Biden's not running the country. He can't. So if he's not running the country, who is? You know? It makes me question if everything is just not a show. If it's just not a puppet. Who's
Oh, no,
pulling the strings, you know?
It's not that. That's something that I also heard, but there's not. I'm suggesting a lot of videos here today. But if you have the time later, do watch CGP Grey Keys to Power. Because he makes a very good sense. He's a very good argument saying no king rules alone. No king. You can be a king. You can have absolute power, but you don't build roads.
But
You don't
there's
command
no
the
king.
army.
There's no king.
No, but
His
that's the
mind
thing.
is broken.
But that's the thing he's saying. Like a president, a king, ultimately is a figurehead. He's a person who centralizes stuff, but he's mostly a figurehead. The keys of power, which he calls, are the ones running the show. Keys of power are representatives and figures who actually have influence. That's why they're called keys. If you have their support, you have a key to unlock the door to power. And that's the thing. These people are the ones who run stuff. It's not one person. It's a lot of people with conflicting interests, conflicting groups, and also conflicting levels, varying levels of influence. A key can have more power than another, And these are the people who actually run countries.
But let me tell you something. One thing is for sure. Any of those keys would prefer to have Biden over Trump. Because Biden, there's no one in there. He can be manipulated very easily. That's the impression I have from a foreigner looking at all of those matters from overseas. It's that crazy to assume that any of those keys, I'm not pointing fingers, I don't know any of them, I don't know any names, but it's that crazy to assume that those keys would somehow come up with a scenario where Trump dies and Biden stays on power so they can keep their positions. Like, humans have ego trips. Humans want money and power, especially politicians. And as we talked at the beginning of the podcast, like, politicians is one of the positions, one of the professions that attract the most sociopaths, if not psychopaths, the most, So is that crazy to assume that some of them would form a group and try to kill Trump? I don't know. I like to speculate. I like the conspiracy aspect of it, and I think there's at least a percentage of possibility there. I don't know.
It's not that interesting for them either, because, like I said, when you do something like that, you elevate the level of violence allowed in a political system. And when you do that, you also put your own life in jeopardy, because it also increases the risk for people to point finger eventually at you.
Not if you do in secrecy.
But that's the thing. Conspiracies they can't stay secret. They eventually leak out. And it's the more people involved, the easier it is for it to leak out. And something the size of killing a presidential candidate, it's a very big conspiracy to keep shut. So much so that when you see what happened on the day of Trump's assassination, attempted assassination, it's so shocking because the guy had plenty of time to set everything up, and people, the Secret Service, the police, they were reacting, but they were bumbling around awfully due to poor communication. Like we spoke earlier, the Secret Service just shit. There's no other way of putting it. The Secret Service is an awful institution when it comes to how they run and how they do things. And so the only reason Trump escaped was by a luck of a turn of a head, because he turned his head at the right moment, the guy shot. And also the guy shot out of desperation because he got caught. At one moment, a police officer actually went up there and got threatened by the guy with the gun and forced to go down. So that's the thing. Someone did try to react, but he's like, if I do something, I die here as well. There wasn't a pushback. There were people acting, just they bumbled. So much that it's not the first time something like that happens in the world. So I don't believe so much so in a conspiracy. It's far easier to believe people were terribly incompetent, which is proven. There's a data showing that, like I said. And also the matter of, like I said, if the keys of Biden. Biden doesn't govern.
There's
so
a data.
So
there are data proving that people are incompetent.
There's data proven for the Secret Service is shit. Like I said, it's incompetent. And also the police departments in the United States have been having a terrible track record as well. Like there's a lot of stuff there that points out that they are just bad. There's a saying I use to guide my decisions in life and helps me a lot, which is Hanlon's razor. Have you seen?
No.
Hanlon's razor is a logical process which says, don't assume malice, which can be easily explained by stupidity, which is more likely in a lot of these situations. People bumbled everywhere during that day. Again, I think it's Wendover Productions again. I also had a video showcasing all the bad decisions done that day and all the historical bad moves the Secret Service did. It's amazing no more candidates have been murdered. But it's not amazing as well because, like I said, candidates got shot more than once. That's not something that happened only with Trump. For instance, I think you heard of Theodore Roosevelt.
Mm-hmm.
You do know he got shot during a speech.
And he continued giving the speech, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know Andrew Jackson, one of the first American presidents?
He got shot?
That's the thing. The guy actually got close to him, pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. Andrew Jackson got so mad, he started beating the man with a cane. He had to be separated because he was almost killing the man.
But I mean, that's self-defense, basically.
I know. There's a point I'm like, okay, if there's one situation for outright bursts of anger, I think maybe that's one of them. But
that's totally valid. Come on, if there's a guy pointing a gun at you trying to kill you, you're going to defend yourself. Yeah.
Andrew Jackson was actually infamous for his temper, and that's something to me that makes perfect sense. The perfect reaction. Did you just fucking try to shoot me, you asshole, and start beating the guy with the cane? And that's the whole situation. Start mapping everything that happened, right? And you start to see a pattern of the United States having candidates being targeted and candidates almost being killed, or sometimes being killed because, well, Lincoln was a good case of someone who got killed. Also, he wasn't the only one. You see smaller politicians do get killed by smaller groups of opposition as well. Mm-hmm. It's something that happens. There's also an infamous politician who got murdered. He was known as the dictator of Louisiana, I think it was the place. Some people call him the good dictator. What was his name? He was Huey Long.
Huey Long. Okay.
Yeah, he was Huey Long. He was actually nicknamed the Kingfish. He's another one who got murdered. And he was seen as a dictator because he actually used his powers in his position to do a lot of unpopular things. He just stepped over the usual things to do popular things. For instance, he used he created a war chest. So people were like, wait, he's creating a war chest? And he used the money to finance public schools material. So he used stuff like that, or he actually stepped over Congress to push all their laws like that. It was a dictatorial behavior. Basically, he was like going, I won't follow standard procedure to do what I want to do. And that's dangerous, a dangerous field to be in. But he did good things. We don't know how long that would have lasted because he got murdered during one of these campaigns. He's another one of those cases that just got killed. This time, it was because of his opposition. Also because he was actually angering a lot of people by outright ignoring them.
All right, so there's a lot of incompetence. There's this huge factor of the gun culture in the U.S.,
Yep.
Which makes you believe that there's nothing behind it. There's no conspiracy behind it.
Oh yeah, there was another candidate. I just remember Reagan. Reagan got shot, but they missed, I believe. So much so that there's a speech. If you check, there's a speech he made where a balloon pops.
Oh yeah.
The speech, and he just stops and says, "Miss me." I hate Reagan, but he had a lot of charisma. Not gonna lie.
With all of that said, it's a fact that the GFK documents are still classified to this day.
They are.
Why?
That's a good question, honestly. I think eventually this truth will come out of far ahead. I don't think it was a conspiracy. I think, and that's one the Lamino episode makes a lot of sense of this. By investigate, do you know what I said about the incompetence?
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff to hide, mostly because it shows how utterly bad they were their job at the people involved. So they have the people that keep it. They have no interest of leaking that out because it would paint them so bad that it puts a lot of questions. Not as in we killed, more like, man, we can't do the basic part of our job for something so important.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm more to believe in because, like I said, a lot of points point to them just being a horrible institution who doesn't do their job well, and God knows why they're still there when they just suck.
Yeah, I question the same. I mean, as far as I understand, so now she resigned, but Cheeto, right, the ex leader, not leader, CEO of the Secret Force. How do you call her? Director, the ex director of the Secret Force, the one who was there when Trump got shot. It was Cheeto. Yeah. She now resigned, and as far as I understand, she was just put into this position because she was a personal friend from Joe Biden, so the first lady. And the thing is, when she resigned, everyone was cheering. Yeah, finally, this incompetent bitch is out of here. No one wants her. She almost got killed. Trump killed. While all of that happened, Biden, like the Biden family, Joe and Joe, they issued like a letter. They were like, "Oh, we are so grateful for your years of service. The Secret Service is amazing." Blah blah, blah. And it goes on like. She was a personal friend from President Biden. Like she had no hard skills. Basically, she was not qualified for the job. She was just put there because
which is normal as well. On one hand, I can understand that because for such a position, I'm not going to say assassination attempts don't happen. In general, I say they are not interesting, but they do happen, like we saw. And that's why in any position like that, the Secret Service head, you as a politician doesn't want anyone there. You want someone who you know will protect you.
Okay.
And that's the thing. There's this conflict of interest as well that impacts the position. So it wouldn't surprise we would have to go back, but it wouldn't surprise me if Trump put someone he likes, and the previous president did that as well, because it's in their interest that the Secret Service is in their side.
Sure, but
Like
they
it's,
need to be
someone
in
in
your
stay position.
side. I agree with you. That makes sense. But you need someone who is on your side and also qualified, has the experience, you know?
But if you have no one qualified,
Yeah, okay.
I know it's shit. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying how things go, and because I played a lot of CK3 and I do that all the time. My master assassin is my friend, but he's shit.
I see. I understand. Um,
He may be dumb, but he's my friend. He's not gonna backstab me. He'll just be incompetent protecting me.
okay, I have one last topic that I'd like to bring up, and I'd like to have your opinion on it. I want to talk about internet drama for a second. Have Have you seen
Drama is fun to a degree.
It is, it is, it is. This one's a juicy one because we're going to be talking about the biggest YouTube channel in the world right now. Have you been
Beast?
Mr. Beast? There you go.
Woo!
This guy. Have you been following anything what happened recently with Mr. Beast?
Everything.
Everything. All right.
Yeah.
So tell us for those who don't know the context, what's been happening. Ivan, take it on.
Do you want me to start with the most recent drama? Do you want me to start with the previous drama, or the drama before that, or the Feastables one? Or no, before that, the burger.
There's a burger drama? What the fuck?
Yeah, Mr. Beast has been involved in a lot of drama, but it's different ones. One of them, the burger one, is actually very cool. Because very cool in the sense of investigating. Because have you heard of ghost kitchens?
No, what is that?
Ghost kitchens are kitchens that run inside other restaurants. They don't exist as a real restaurant. They just fake their existence in a way. So if you go to your iFood, okay, and you start to search for a restaurant to eat, if you search a lot, eventually you will say, wait, these pictures on this restaurant are the same of this other restaurant, as are the prices. It's just the names are different. Why? Because it's a ghost kitchen. They're flooding the pages of iFood and stuff like that with their brand, so you're more likely to click on it. It may seem like another restaurant, but it's the same. It's a very shitty thing to do. And what he did is that he tried to help restaurants, apparently, right, by offering his burger brand. He created a burger brand. And what happened is that these ghost kitchens had no standards. Like, no quality standards. So what happens is that the quality of his burger just became shit. Like, some places were absolute crap, others were meh, and it varied all over the place because there was no standard. And he tried to jump out of that. But he can't because he's locked by contract, so he sued his own burger company to try and separate his name from the brand.
I mean, he put himself in this position to begin with.
Pretty much.
He just hired ghost kitchens that were
It's
just...
a company, apparently, and they run ghost kitchens. That's what happened. Like, the companies... The idea was that Ma and Pa restaurant that's now being affected by COVID can now sell his burger to earn an extra profit. So what happens that Ma and Pa weren't the only ones selling. It was a lot of people. So there was no standard quality.
Okay, I see. So he was selling shitty burgers. And I mean...
Not he, but yeah.
Okay, he was using ghost kitchens to sell inconsistent burgers who often were bad.
Pretty much.
Okay, come on, that's not a big drama. It happens. Do you think that
It's not so much so drama. The drama is that he's suing his own his own brand to get himself out of there, but he can't because of contract.
Oh, man,
It's a very idiotic thing. That was the first one that I remember. That was one of the oldest.
So while this is happening, are the burgers still being cooked and sold? Okay, all right.
It's still happening.
Because the people behind the ghost kitchens, they're probably making a lot of money, right?
They are.
They don't want this to stop. They want to keep doing the burger. Yeah.
They still want the Mr. Big Burger. Mr. Beast Burger. Like, it's our... we want your name, even if you don't want it. It sucks to be you.
Oh, my God.
And that's why he's so protective of his new food brand, the Feastables. Mm-hmm. He's very on top of it because he got somewhat traumatized by that drama.
All right, so you said there's something going on behind the Feastables as well, right? As far as I know. So Feastables, for those who do not know, is his chocolate bar brand. Is that right?
Yep. It's his chocolate bar brand. And the original drama was that he asked people to go to the stores and if there's no of his bars, there are no food, go and ask someone to check on the stock. So basically making people force supermarkets to just find a Feastable somewhere in there, which is not nice. Later, he changed the wording of this whole process. Be nice to people. Ask them if you can do that. Don't go and do this, because he realized, okay, this is very, very shitty. His Feastables also changed. Originally, it was, like you said, 3 ingredients, but today it's just the same as a Hershey bar. Exactly the same content as I'm saying, calories. So it's not different. It's same crap. So also the Feastables degraded over time.
Okay, but does his marketing remain the same, or did he we're honest about? Okay, it changed. Okay, so he's
changed
not
a little
lying
bit,
to
but
anyone, right?
I would argue that's lie by omission.
Okay.
Because it's not like your original marketing was, it's only these 3 ingredients, it's super healthy, I try to be super careful, and today he just stopped saying that, and the bar is just the same as others. So it's like, yeah, the original marketing that carried the brand, it's irrelevant, but he didn't tell anyone about that. That's why I say it's kind of like a mission.
Okay, so his initial marketing was like, this is healthier than the concurrents because it only has 3 ingredients. You can eat it, it'll be more sustainable, blah, 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 blah. And now it's as shitty as all, I mean, as shitty as all the room, but it's like same quality as everything else.
Exactly.
And, okay. But I mean,
that's one of them.
Okay.
So you want to jump to the next drama, which would be...
Let's go!
So that one was honestly complicated all around. I think it got muddled by the fact that she's trans. So
you're talking about Ava Tyson, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Ava Tyson drama really got muddled because due to this culture war that the US is so strong about, right? And they start picturing her as a groomer because she's trans. And when these things don't have relation to one another, turns out, yeah, she is apparently, allegedly, there's still investigation going about this, a groomer. For those who don't know, groomer is someone who basically shapes the kids to be the way they want through channels and says very inappropriate things, and that's why
sexually.
I believe
Yes. Shape them. Okay, yeah.
That's why you parents, if you have kids, I'm not saying go around and spy everything they're talking about, but try to inform them as much as possible. Like, do teach them to know these signs and be able to react. It's important. That one was harsh, I would say. But that's not even the latest drama, right?
No, but this one, I want to talk a little bit more about Ava Tyson because this one was crazy.
Yeah.
As far as I know, she was very fond of this artist, Shadow Man, or who actually is an artist renowned.
Okay, that's new to me.
He was an artist renowned for drawing, well, what? Hentai?
Ah, no, it's not Shadow Man. It's Shadman.
Shadman. I'm sorry, Shadman. It's renowned.
Shadman. Oh man, yeah. But Shadman is, man, Shadman's a can of worms. Like I will again expose myself here.
Did you know that guy?
I used to be part of Newgrounds a lot when I was a teenager.
What is
famous that? Newgrounds. Newgrounds, you know the Flash portal?
No, I don't.
Newgrounds is where a lot of the artists you watch today on YouTube, especially animators, started. And it was this community of Flash creators like, who can I pull? There's Pidoru, who's right now making a lot of cool animations on YouTube, mainly Face Punch, something like that. There was also, I forgot his name, Igor Raptor, John Tron. They all got their start there. And Shadman was at that time, at the same time as everyone. But Shadman supposedly came back from the war. He had participated, and his drawings reflected a lot of that. They weren't very... There was horny stuff, but there was a lot of very gory stuff from this time. And his jokes revolved a little bit around that, around this violence. And it was unique. Like, his art style was very distinct from everyone on the platform. So that caught people's attention. And over time, he continued making super edgy, super dark stuff and horny stuff. And people all like him. A lot of people got involved with Shadman over the years. A lot of them. So some of them are still being, criticized and pointed out because of that. For instance, Belle Delphine, she got involved with him as well, not romantically, just she was a fan. There's pictures of her using his stuff, and he drew her, and they had this very relationship. Senor Pelo, who also asked him to commission one stuff, and he did that. And he recently also came out and said, listen, I didn't know Shadman was this fucked up. At the time, I was just edgy, and I thought edgy humor was the way. And it was. That time on Newgrounds, if you check stuff like that, edgy humor was the way. It was the standard. So it's a very... Shadman is very iconic. He had a lot of, history for a lot of people throughout the years. But later, he started... where he drew the line, let's say, where he started becoming a problematic person, is that he drew real-life people lollies. So he started one of the most impactful ones was that he drew Kingstar, another YouTuber. He drew his daughter in a sexual way, and she's a minor.
The guy drew his fucking daughter. Sorry, let me rephrase. The guy drew his daughter in a sexualized way and put it
not
online.
Not his own daughter, another YouTuber's
daughter.
daughter.
Another guy's daughter. It doesn't change a thing. It's too fucked up.
It's too fucked up. I'm not saying it's not. He drew a lot of lolly porn at the time. He drew Hillary Clinton, stuff like that. He just didn't. But the real problem was that he drew a real minor as a lolly and doing sexual stuff.
Oh my God.
It was not okay at all. And that's the thing. He also promised, oh, sorry, guys. It was a lapse of judgment. I'm going to remove this from my site. He didn't. He never did. He never did anything. And that's the thing. He proved himself to be also a very big asshole and disturbed person overall.
Damn.
So that her association to him, to me, was a bit like, eh. Yeah, a lot of people at the time were. That's not the worst she did.
I heard another fucked up story about this guy. We're still talking about Shadman, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I heard that he drew his mom.
Yeah, he did.
How mentally you need to be to do those. Anyway, all those craziness aside, going back to MrBeast, Ava Kris Tyson was a fan.
Yep.
He idolized this artist.
And I think that's the problem as well.
So much so that she had like a poster of one of his drawings on the wall of her apartment.
Yep.
And how MrBeast got caught up in the middle of all of that? Well, apparently one of his videos was shot in her flat, in her living room, with the poster at full display. And so it's impossible to say that he didn't knew about her troubled personality. And he was, even though he knew about it, he was still actively employing her. And when in a show that involves kids.
I don't know where MrBeast started, I don't know what he knows about Shadman and stuff like that. I would have found out because, like I said, during my Newgrounds years, I saw his work. I knew what he did. And he was everywhere. It was hard for you to miss. But someone who isn't on the loop, I'm going to say, I think it can be easy for it to be like, oh, it's just a drawing, whatever.
No, it was
you don't know the artist.
Okay, yeah.
But that's only, I would say that only points more to Ava's issues.
Exactly, okay. Yeah.
That's more evidence to who she is. Once you start to piece things out and you go like, yeah, maybe she's not nice.
Okay, but again, yeah, I totally agree. I think that speaks more about her issues, and her problems, her demons that she needs to deal with. The problem is when she's grooming kids.
Yep.
Then that becomes an issue, like a real issue, right?
I think, like I said, I think it's only when you see that and you know that only by itself, a lot of people can be like, it's edgy from that time, whatever. Ideally, she would have removed it, but who knows? Maybe she commit. I don't know. But when you see the whole context, like, no, she's fucked up. She's fucked up on that, because you realize what she likes. You know.
She, I don't want to judge, you know. Everyone has their problems. What I mean, don't want to judge is the fact that she had a family. She had at the time before she transitioned, she had a wife, had a kid, and I don't know what happened, but she basically got a divorced and followed that route. You know, that's so sad. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Maybe she's mentally ill, but it's sad.
I think
It's sad for her ex and the kid, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's
I'm
what
gonna-
it's, yeah.
this is all my conjecture. I have to say, to protect you from liability and me as well. But pedophiles in general, I'm sorry, you can bleep this out once it goes to YouTube.
It's live. We're live.
I know, but I mean, to not demonetize once you can edit it, whatever. Because I know people say the other words to censor it, which I find annoying. But it's what she is. They actually get attracted, you know, to positions that have kids. That's why you see a lot of them acting near kids at schools, at churches, and stuff like that, because it's what they want. It's what they're interested in. So I would say having a kid makes things worse.
Yeah.
Makes things much, much worse when you know everything.
Oh boy. Yeah. So she was employed at MrBeast. She's no longer there. But I heard rumors there was another guy called Delaware who was also employed there. He was also, I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get them further demonetized. Let's say someone who is attracted to minors, let's say. And the guy apparently was called Delaware because he was a convicted sex offender in Delaware. And he was not allowed to return there. So his nickname inside of the MrBeast crew was Delaware. And so they all knew it.
Apparently,
Apparently.
his brother can explain the situation
Yeah.
and say that Delaware is not because of that, it's because he's from Delaware.
Okay.
Yeah, but he did say that that happened when with a girl who was 16 when he was, I think, 18 or 19, something like that. And they say that nothing happened, and there is this. He has this conviction as a sexual offender because he made a plea deal. Now, I don't think that absolves him. I don't think that really shows that he's innocent. Quite the contrary. It points out that there is smoke there. And where there's smoke, there's fire. So there's that to start with. Maybe he's not attracted to minors. Maybe. Let's say that. Maybe that wasn't that because the age difference. I don't know what were the ages. Actually, no, I'm going to find his post here so I'm not saying anything wrong.
You're talking about Jake the Viking, right? So Jake the Viking was his brother-in-law. So Jake the Viking was one of the MrBeast team members who worked there for a while, and after a certain amount of time, they just said your piece doesn't fit the puzzle anymore. We're looking for a different type of people to be on the videos, and then Jake the Viking, brother-in-law,
yeah,
brother-in-law. So
yeah, there's this. It's when, he's attracted to minors. There's no way around it. When he was 21 and she was 16. Like,
yeah,
man, no.
Okay. Oh man, it sucks being MrBeast right now. I'm so sorry for Jimmy. I mean, sorry, not sorry. The guy kind of put those people around him, around kids. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
And also there is there's a whole other stuff regarding his competitions. His did you see Dog Bark's video, by the way?
Maybe. I don't know the name of most of the YouTubers that I watch.
Doug Bark is the guy who exposed him.
Oh, the previous employee.
Yeah.
Ex-employee. Okay, yeah, I saw it, yeah.
It's Doug Bark, something like that.
Yeah, he was the one who came up with all
Doc
of that.
Beck.
Doc Beck, yeah, and he got a cease and desist letter from the MrBeast team, right?
Which doesn't paint him in a good way in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's not how you defend yourself against accusations. That's not good. Though, what bothered me was the second video he made regarding saying, I work for MrBeast, he's a sociopath.
Oh, okay. What happened?
Because there was he interviews this one guy who, you feel bad for the guy. You feel really bad because he was in some videos, in some original videos, and he saw how it started to shift from what was just them making videos, something somewhat casual, to something more serious and a business and stuff like that. And he had to do an isolation experiment, which was he would earn money from staying in isolation room for a certain time. And I don't know if you know about this, but isolation is not healthy for human minds. It starts already with that. And there was a lot of issues. The second one was there was a jacuzzi for him, but a jacuzzi who was not connected to anything. So there was this stale water there with him. Also, there was this ice cream machine who also never got changed on his room with him. So the ice cream just started smelling awful after around 3 days. So he started to live in this very damp, unpleasant environment. He couldn't do anything. And the worst part wasn't even that. It's that they wouldn't turn off the lights. So he couldn't sleep either.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I heard about it. So isn't that a war crime, apparently?
It is.
Yeah, there you go.
Sleep deprivation is a war crime. So,
That's
yeah.
awful.
They were there breaking the Geneva Convention just for a video, which, by the way, didn't get published. His whole thing didn't get published. It was just a test for another video they would do, where they corrected everything they did wrong with him.
It was just like a guinea pig experiment.
Yep, pretty much. He had a whiteboard, and he couldn't even put his own YouTube channel there. He put it there. The people came in and just erased his YouTube label there, so people couldn't find it.
But as far as I understand, this whole video, this whole imprisonment that they did with that guy was a retaliation because he used to work for MrBeast, right? So that's another whole thing. Like all the people that not all the people, but most people that you see in MrBeast's videos are actually his employees or ex-employees. You see on the internet, it looks like they're random subscribers, and if you subscribe, you have the chance to be in one of the videos and end up with a brand new Tesla and a bunch of money. But that's not apparently the whole truth. Jimmy also always says, we don't fake our videos, subscribe, you can... Okay, but to a certain degree, they do fake their videos because they are not only getting random people to be in their videos. They claim or they don't say anything and they just put like bunch of teenagers there and a bunch of young people, and they say those are subscribed. Maybe not. That like sometimes they don't say anything, and those are just employees. And
pretty much.
And this guy who was in this social experiment, let's call it imprisonment, it was one of the ex-employees from MrBeast who Jimmy had a beef with. Apparently, when they worked together, this guy, let's get his name. Can you look up his name?
Yep, I'll find it here right away.
Apparently,
I have the video here.
Apparently, this guy was not happy with the work conditions, whatever, and he pointed out there was this older black dude who had a family to support, was making less money as him, as 20-year-old white guy.
Yep.
And apparently he pointed it out, and the whole vibe got extremely uncomfortable. They like, of course, that's weird. Why they're paying the older guy who has a family to support the black dude way less than him? And turns out the next day they both got fired.
Yep.
And that was that. After a while, they call him back for this video. So it kind of sounds like retaliation, right? If they
I'm gonna say it feels a lot like that.
It sounds like. I don't know if it is, but it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think it was retaliatory. His name is Jake Weddle. And I don't think it was retaliatory. Like I told you, it's far easier to assume stupidity to actions than outright malice. I think they thought, oh, this is gonna be something simple. He's gonna be alone here in this room, and he's gonna just spend a few days here, and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, it just went off the rails, and they didn't want to waste, because when you make something like that, visual content, right? You make a video, you prepare the setting, you prepare everything for the person. There's money invested there, so you don't want to lose that money. You don't want to be like, this content is unusable, we can't do it. So I think they just insisted on that, you know? Yeah. They just went, oh, okay, we have to do it, we have to go, we have to keep going. And it's like, but he's getting fucked up, we have to keep going, otherwise money, his whole effort will be wasted. No, he's got to stay there. I think it was more likely that. Because Jimmy wasn't even present most of the time, because understandable, he's making more than one video, right? He's got to be in more than one place. So I can see that happening. And also, based on what Jake Weddle said, he has this very outspoken and very explosive personality. So he's interesting for videos too, because he's not shy. He's not afraid to put his face out there, put it on blast, and say stuff, you know. So that's good. That's good for content in the end of the day. So I think it was just that they remember, oh, there's this guy who's got this very explosive personality we work with. Let's put him there. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think that's more likely to have happened. But if it wouldn't be with Jake, it wouldn't be with someone else. And they would also get fucked from this.
Yeah. Well, they're getting fucked now, right?
I wouldn't say that. It's not so much a backlash. Honestly, one thing I never liked about Jimmy, about MrBeast brand in general, is how it's very performative philanthropy. I dislike that a lot. I know that he's helping people, and if it's not him who would. There's this whole argumentation, but it leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you're like, oh yeah, cry for the camera. Oh, you're so happy. This is so good. Capture this. Let's publish this. Like, I'm not saying he did it, but you're gonna tell me that's not good. You're going to tell me they weren't great to capture those tears of joy when something happened to someone. They do. It doesn't feel nice. It feels very much like I'm only doing this because it gives money, which is very likely true.
Yeah, of course.
So, of course, helping people, that's good. Not gonna take that away. Like I said, just very sour taste on the whole situation. I think also what bothers me a lot is how Jimmy is not afraid to associate with outright horrible people. Like, I'm not saying these recent exposures. I'm gonna go with Jake Paul and Logan, because they are horrible people too. They scam their user base regularly. There was the whole Japanese forest incident, and he wasn't afraid to bring them over to their videos. Like, he's like, oh yeah, come, you have a good user base. That's not nice. I wouldn't want to be associated with people like that, honestly.
Yeah, there's horrible people and bad apples everywhere, in every profession, in any scenario. You're gonna have those type of people. Like, I think that's just human nature, right? You know, people who want to exploit others, people who just care about money, and good people as well. People who do not care. I think it's everywhere. We cannot only assume that all YouTubers are like that. That's not the case. I think we cannot generalize like that. So yeah, Ivan, we almost hit the 3-hour mark. As usual, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I would like to ask if you have any final remarks, anything else that you'd like to mention.
Actually, kinda.
Okay.
Kinda. I'm gonna do a little plug in a way.
Sure. Go ahead.
So one thing I wanted to also speak a little bit earlier, but I realize conversation just keeps going, is one thing me and my wife were trying to do is we're trying to start our own studio.
Gaming
so we're
studio.
trying to, yeah. So we're trying to participate in a few government programs to, kickstart our studio, kickstart our game. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I would love to have your feedback on art and everything. And also when more content gets released, if you want to share with people and people want to give feedback, go ahead, assuming everything works out. Because when it comes to government, there's a lot of stuff out of my hands. But yeah, our idea here is to try and start our own studio. So maybe, my own opinion, I can do what I think is what we believe is right. Like we see all these things that bothers us in the game industry. Let's try to do it different and see how it goes. Let's see if it's better. Because maybe I'll learn how to make things right. Maybe we'll have somewhat of an interesting studio, right?
I hope so. I mean, I'm sure you would if you go forward with this idea. I'm sure you would.
Who knows, man? Not gonna lie, insecurity is a hell of a beast.
Just
Good on the side.
Just do it on your free time. If you have like some free time, 1 hour per day, just take 1 hour per day and work on it. You're gonna be surprised on how much you can accomplish in 6 months. Go for it.
It's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But your feedback, honestly, because I don't know if you told people here, but if you didn't, I'm gonna say you're an amazing artist, and your feedback would be invaluable.
Thank you. Let's keep in touch. I can help you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ivan. It was a pleasure. Just a disclaimer, everyone. I'm a moron. I don't know any of those subjects that we just mentioned today, like very, very profoundly. Like I just give my opinion.
The Joe Rogan excuse. Good job.
Yeah, but that's true. I don't. we talk about like 1 hour about Trump. I don't even live in the U.S. I don't.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I just like to study politics. It's fun.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Let's do that again, of course. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast will be recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the BruCast store, Explorer store, filled with awesome goodies. From t-shirts to mugs, we've got you covered. Stay in style with BruCast. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Buy now at brew-cast.com/store. I repeat, brew-cast.com/store. Link on the description below. BruCast also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, BruCast on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links below. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Ivan, it was a pleasure. See you next time.
Make this video reach top 5 again.
Yeah, let's do it. Subscribe.
Subscribe. Or else I'll die.